Wait, we be live. Hi everyone.
Hello.
I missed you guys. I genuinely did.
We missed you
I
too.
missed you.
I mean, from our
No,
side, the
yeah,
public side, you weren't gone. Behind the scenes,
yeah.
we're gone for a little while.
Yes. I miss going live on the English channel. Hi guys, how is everyone doing? So guys, this is the Atheist Republic news segment. We cover 10 news items from all around the world. We have a very, very global perspective on things here. And we also have a very global audience. We cover news from different countries, and our audience are from multiple different countries as well. Guys, let us know where you're watching from, okay? So we try to advocate for a more global movement and cross-border activism when it comes to atheist and secular activism, because religion and dogma is a global threat. So the only way we could react to it, the best way to react to it, is also globally. That's why we advocate for a global, well, not air, because there's multiple global movements of atheism and secularism, right? So let us know where you're watching from. Oh, look at this. Hello from Jordan. Hello from Belgium, India, Sweden, another Belgium, Malta,
Ooh.
Europe. Well, you need to be more specific, but Europe is good. It's good. Pakistan and Egypt. Fantastic. All right. So I think I've proven my point.
Once again, this week,
Once
as
again,
with all weeks, you
yes.
stand correct.
I think the diversity gets more and more. Like, we used to have, like, I don't know, 70% India, right? Which is good, but I think, like, it's getting more diverse as we go on. I think because of the nature of our news, it's also getting, our audience is getting more diverse, which is good. Poland, fantastic.
Ooh,
More
and
India.
Algeria.
More India. Oh, we got our first super chat. So this is a good reminder that between the news items, guys, we will read the super chats. We won't read them while we're reading the news, but as they keep coming, we'll collect them. And then once each news segment is finished, we will read all the super chats if we have gotten any in between, and then we'll read them. We got the first one before we even started. Thank you, guys. That's a good sign. So you want
Yeah,
to read
Selva
this one from
Kumar
Selva?
gave us 100 rupees. Thank you, Selva, saying, "Hi, Armin from Chennai. Hey, shouts out South India. Please cover the 30th anniversary of the Black July, which was the start of the Sri Lankan Tamil genocide."
Well, I mean, it has. That would be a Susie. Susie decides what we cover. Should we? Well, Susie, you could maybe decide that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
look
if you
into.
have
I'm
anything specific you want us to cover about it, you can give us a suggestion in the news channel on our
Discord.
Discord. Uh,
Yes.
so if they have like specific sources that you think are good and credible, please add them to that channel on our Discord, and then that would be a good place where I check for what our community is asking us to cover every week.
Right. Yes. Oh, so Algeria, the least known country in North Africa. I wouldn't say the least known country. Is it the least known country?
I think Mauritania
More.
would be,
More.
because
Mauritania.
literally, I mean, I'm
Well,
biased though because I had to look up Mauritania this morning.
Mauritania, all I know about Mauritania is that their laws are extremely Islamic. Death, they have the death
Yeah,
penalty for, yes.
yeah.
So Algeria, let's see, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya. These are all North Africa. I would say yes, you're right. Maybe Algeria is the least known. People know more about Tunisia and Morocco and Libya and Egypt. They know about these things. I mean, if you want north, like completely north, you're right. Yeah, I guess. But yeah. Okay. Oh, we got another super chat. We haven't even started yet, guys. Thank you for the super chat. Do you want to read this one?
Erkin, thank you, Erkin, is saying an Arminist and Mozillaist here. So he's part of the
Oh,
Arminist philosophy. I don't know who Mozilla
I need
is.
to make one. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. Okay, guys, I need to like quickly read the other ones as well because we read some of them. So Russia, England, Martian. How did we manage to do that? We said global. We didn't say solar.
We didn't say
In
extraterrestrial, but we can.
yeah, Poland. Okay, guys, thank you so much. If we don't read them more, it's because it's not because you're not important. It's not because your country is not important. It's because we have to get started with the news.
Yes, and I'm putting Shika in timeout for making apologetics for genocide. So you're not banned, but you're on notice. You're officially on notice. I don't mess around with that
wow.
shit.
That's good. That's good. Yes. All right. Cool. Can we clap for the first news?
I mean, I think this is hilarious. Let's clap. It's Andrew Tate. We're going to have fun dunking on Andrew Tate. What's not to love?
Okay, good. I like how we're starting hilarious.
This
oh
is
my
fun.
God, really?
Yes.
Did he say that? Jesus Christ. Okay. First news.
First news. Andrew Tate's shocking call for the Islamization of Great Britain. Andrew Tate, the British-American social media personality and former kickboxer, known for his promotion of misogyny and his current legal battle in which he is facing charges of human trafficking, has ignited online backlash with his recent call for the Islamization of the United Kingdom. This call followed London-based billionaire Asif Aziz's announcement of plans to transform the Trocadero, a key historical landmark in London, into a mosque. Tate, a recent convert to Islam from a Christian background, lauded the news, tweeting, "Allah is the best of planners, and I look forward to seeing the Islamic Republic of Great Britistan in her final form. Alhamdulillah, Britain will be fully Islamic soon." However, his comment prompted widespread shock and criticism, with Twitter users challenging his statements about the demise of British culture and the need for an Islamic republic. One user pointed out, quote, "This is a false dichotomy that you assert. A secular UK is as it is intended to be. All races and religions, cultures, etc. living in harmony. That seems like a better and more long-term plan."
Okay, what? Why? Holy, this guy. I mean, I think this is just a desperate attempt to try to keep his Muslim supporters behind him and also to stay relevant in the news. I don't think there is, when it comes to Andrew Tate saying something, I don't think there is much thought that goes into, I feel like I want to respond to it, to say why this doesn't make any sense and why it's idiotic. But then if you actually think about the intent behind saying something like that, then it doesn't even make sense to respond to it, like to come up with a logical response to it, because the attempt was not to make a logical point. Why would I try to point out why this is insane and illogical when that wasn't even the goal? The goal are to stir up controversy. The goal is to get your, stay relevant. The goal is to get Muslims to celebrate you because you need their support right now, especially right now. So sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time to try to even start talking about how stupid this is, because it wasn't trying to be smart. I mean, at least,
I completely agree. This is not supposed to actually be a thoughtful argument or anything. This is not supposed to be logical. This is supposed to get a reaction.
You're right.
If you scroll down, we can read his full tweet. A little bit further. Okay, here we go. So, Andrew Tate, let me do a dramatic reading, so we can say we're not taking him out of context. He quote tweeted a tweet that described how a Muslim billionaire wins permission to turn one of London's most famous landmarks into a mosque, and they said, "This building is literally dead center in the middle of London's historic center. Amazing news. The only alternative to Islam for the Brits are pride flags, as they no longer have any innate culture or patriotism. Allah is the best of planners, and I look forward to seeing, in caps, the Islamic Republic of Great Britain in her final form. Alhamdulillah, Britain will be fully Islamic soon. Okay. I don't know who would ever think that British people have no innate culture or patriotism. I've been to England several times, and these people freaking love their Union Jack, bro. Like, the English have a lot of culture. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. All of the buildings, the architecture, the history, Westminster Abbey, like, it goes so deep. They have some of the oldest like structures around. Like, it's just it because so what I think he's referring to is when there was Pride in it last month, there was this thing where there was a street, and over the street they had all these pride flags that were hanging in banners down the entire street. And the conservatives were losing their mind over these progress pride flags hanging on these banners across the street, down the whole street in rows. They were literally making comparisons of these pride flags hanging over this street to Yahtzee flags. And this particular image like went viral, right, to show the domination.
We say you should explain people why you say Yahtzee instead of the other thing.
Yeah, Yahtzee refers to the bad people in World War II. Because of the YouTube algorithm, we have to use coded language. So that this kind of thing went viral. So I think he's kind of playing upon that imagery, saying they only have pride flags now. They no longer have any culture. Like they hate their own Union Jack in favor of the pride flag. Oh my God. And so we're going to become British. I mean, Islamic. Like, it's just absurd. But the funny thing is, according to some reporting that I have seen, is that this billionaire intends to use this space that he's going to remodel as not only a mosque, but an interfaith center. And according to some reports that I've seen, a space that will have like LGBT community events.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, Andrew, that's what this space is going to be used for, bro. Yeah.
But I just don't know. Here's the thing. As funny as all of this is, I don't know if people understand what big of a wave this is. Like the effect of people like Andrew Tate are having on young people. I mean, this comes across as like a joke, and it is. I mean, it's so stupid and so lame and it's so insane that doesn't even need responding to. But at the same time, like, try to imagine the people who are seeing Andrew Tate as a role model, and they are many. They are so many, and people have no idea. To give you an example of how many they are, in Iran, for example, where it is one of the countries where the hatred for Islam has grown so significantly, okay? There are young boys who are reconsidering their hatred for Islam because of Andrew Tate. That's how, like, Andrew Tate, like, imagine Andrew Tate, a British American person, has so much impact on young boys that in Iran, he has a huge fan base in Iran. Like, imagine how many other countries he has a fan base. Like, I bet you so many people didn't imagine that Andrew Tate, who speaks English and makes English content, has a cultish following among young boys in Iran. But I know because I am on social media there and I notice these things and people tell me these things. But imagine, like, okay, where else is he? Like, he probably has a huge following in India. He probably has a huge following in, I don't know, Algeria. He probably has a huge following in Indonesia. It is a global influence. And there are young boys in Iran who said, like, we were on this woman life freedom bandwagon, but good thing Andrew Tate told us how evil women are, so we could jump off of this bandwagon. Like, we were fooled by society. That's how big of an impact this man has, that some people are being convinced out of like such wholesome chance in a revolution. And so imagine somebody with that big of an influence saying, people who think that he can't say anything wrong, and he coming out and saying that the Islamization of Britain is a good thing. Imagine the waves and the movement and the impact on a whole wave of new of a generation of people that are going to come into adulthood with that mindset. What would be the impact of those types of thought on society? Like, we are trying to we work, we, by we, I don't mean like me and Susie, I mean the entire movement. It's so difficult to convince people why secularism is a good thing, and somebody, but it's so easy to convince them out of it, just by being, I don't know, Sigma and all that, and like being somebody that people admire, like, and just kind of like, oh, the Islamization of Britain is such a great thing, and they're just convinced it's done. But imagine how the steps that you have to take, the process that involves in trying to convince people why secularization is secularism is a good thing. That involves explaining, that involves education, that involves some understanding of history. But the opposite direction is just so easy. You just need to have somebody that you admire, and they say something, and you just convince. I don't know.
Well, it's pretty
difficult.
simple. I mean, this is how cult leaders work. This is how malignant narcissists work. Is you have someone that is vulnerable, and they have some form of insecurity in their life, whether it's in interpersonal or material. And the malignant narcissist comes and says, I can give you all the answers. Just listen to me. And they're charismatic and they're confident, and that soothes our psyche. And they say, you know what? This is how cult leaders work. They say, all of these insecurities that you have in your life, all these vulnerabilities that you have in your life, whether it's interpersonal or material, you know what? Actually, it's not your fault that you have these weaknesses or that there's something lacking in your life. It's actually not your fault. There's someone against you. There's someone to blame. And I'm going to tell you who, and I'm going to tell you how we fix it. And this is something that psychologically we love as humans, because if we can say that the vulnerabilities and weaknesses that I have in my life are actually not attributable to my own locus of control, that protects our ego. That protects our ego. That protects us from saying, actually, maybe it's not something that's my fault. Actually, maybe this is something beyond my control. And if it's actually something that's beyond my control because there's a system working against me, the matrix, then I can direct this rage for my weaknesses outwards. Instead of taking the locus of control internally and saying, what do I have the capability? What do I have the capability of addressing and fixing in my own life, no matter how difficult and strenuous it might be? Because taking an internal locus of control is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Not only psychologically sometimes, but also practically. I mean, I've been studying Marcus Aurelius recently. I mean, Stoicism is all about a supreme internal locus of control. Supreme internal locus of control. That's literally the whole point. What do I have control over? What do I not have control over? If I do not have control over it, I cannot worry about it. And I should exclusively focus on what I do have control over. And this is how we find freedom. This is a generalization of a Stoic mindset. But these malignant narcissists take exactly the opposite approach when you think about it. Because it's simpler. It's a simpler narrative. And also it excuses our own inaction over our own lives. Any failures that you have as a person, as a man, because Andrew Tate addresses men, you know what? It's actually not your fault. And actually, you're not a failure as a man, quote unquote, because the system and women are actually taking it from you. So you don't have to feel like a failure anymore. Think about how psychologically soothing that is. Instead of looking yourself in the mirror and being like, actually, I have actionable control over my life. And I can take the reins and I can go at it. You know, I mean, you can see why it's appealing, right? Especially to young people.
That's interesting the way you put it. Yeah. Okay. We have a couple of. Oh, by the way, no doubt. Before we read the super chats, this is something Dee mentioned about this. I was thinking exactly about this because what he is saying. So here's the divide. Okay, Andrew Tate appeals to a lot of right-leaning people, right? Because he's about family values, against LGBT, especially the T in LGBT. He's against so many, progressive policies, and so that appeals. He's red-pilled, all that. He's misogynistic. All that appeals to a lot of right-leaning people, right? But then those right-leaning people hate immigration, and they're afraid of Islamization. So, and then he comes and calls for the Islamization of Britain, and he's a Muslim. So, a lot of the base that he created, all of a sudden, were like, "Wait, what the hell? What?" And now you can see that it's starting. A lot of like Christian following, right-leaning following that he has built over the years is now turning on him. And the content, because a lot of the content that was created against him used to be by feminists, used to be by progressives and leftist people, and now you're starting to see right-leaning, Christian-leaning channels and content creators are starting to pick up the fight against Andrew Tate
A
because
lot of
of his.
conservatives are coming after him now. Did you see that Jordan
Yes.
Peterson came after him? Ben Shapiro came after him. Michael Knowles. Yeah.
Yes.
They're
So
turning.
that's how it started to. They're turning, but they would. Here's the thing. I bet you they wouldn't have turned on him if he wasn't a Muslim, because and was calling. But so here's the conspiracy theory Muslims say. Okay, they say the entire world is against him because he's Muslim, right? But I believe in a less extreme version of that, which is the Christian right would have supported him more if he wasn't a Muslim.
If he still had the pimping and pandering charges against him, I think Jordan Peterson would have still gone against him.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson maybe, but a lot of all these other right-leaning Christians will forgive him. We're all sinners. Jesus will forgive you and all that crap. I mean, the way the Muslims are forgiving, exactly the same way that Muslims are forgiving him now. Right-leaning Christians are as anti against those behavior as right-leaning Muslims. But a lot of right-leaning Muslims are forgiving him because he belongs to them now. He's in their tribe. So in the same way, right-leaning Christians would have forgiven him, many of them, not all of them, for his questionable behavior if he was in their tribe. And this is what leftists and liberals and atheists and secularists often don't do. They don't forgive you for being in their tribe if you do crappy things.
It's actually one of our biggest faults. It's actually one of the
fault. It's sometimes a fault when it goes extreme, but sometimes it's good because we're self-critical. So there's a it's like it's how far you go with it, right?
No,
it's like
I was specifically thinking of this comedian that I follow. He put it so well. He's like, I'm not even going to be able to rephrase it perfectly, but he basically said, if you have a difference of opinion on the left, you are not an imperfect ally, you become an enemy. And I think that's a huge problem of left-leaning people. We do not allow imperfect allies, which all of us really are at the end of the day. We go like puritanical. And personally, that's something that never sits right with me.
But that's the extreme version of it, which becomes a fault.
True.
But it's a strength when it's not that extreme. It's a strength if you compare it to the tribal mindset of right-leaning people, which they forgive everything. Like a lot of them, not all of them, okay? Which they basically they're hypocritical. They're blaming others for certain things that they forgive their own for. So it's a spectrum. You could do that extreme on both ends. It's healthy to be self-critical of the people within your own community and not be biased because they belong to your community. So that's good, but
Mhm.
a lot of people overdo it. And if somebody's trying to get better, if somebody's like, you don't leave a door open for them to come back to improve themselves. And any disagreement is treated like a fault or
A mark
a
against
source
your
of tension.
character. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
FG just called it purity spirals. I'm going to use that again. That is such a good way to put it. Purity spirals. Oh my God. But let's read the super chats that we got. Thank you very
yes.
much, everyone. Newman is saying Android Tate has a fan base in India too. I hate it. It's not surprising. People are, reproducing and translating this content everywhere. Did you just remove a super chat? Oh no, never mind.
No.
And Nina,
I mean, they
gave
don't
us-
need to be translated in India, to be fair. People who have access to internet in India
True.
are usually
Yeah.
speak English.
And Nina gave us €5. Thank you, Nina. Saying, hi, all. I have not forgotten those boys in Greece yelling free top G. I've rued the day that Musk fart unbanned him. Greta TK'd him was enough. Yeah, of course it's not going to be enough. Because his message is too appealing, too psychologically soothing to vulnerable people. That's really what it is. I actually have a lot of sympathy for people that get sucked into Andrew Tate's cult and like ideology, because he explicitly talks about how he preys upon men. There's so much footage. The self-snitching is crazy. And there's so much footage of him talking about how he preys on men and is a predator towards men and their wallets and their abilities, like in their resources, right? And people don't see that as a red flag of, oh, he's probably doing that to me too. They go, oh my God, look how smart he is. I want to be like that, blah, blah, blah. Not realizing that you're being played and being told that you're being played to your face and still going along.
He is the Matrix. That's what he is. He is the Matrix. He's like fooling people, and he brags about it. And you're like, oh, the Matrix is trying to trick you, dude. You are the Matrix. Oh, we forgot to read the comments here.
Oh, there was go to the one at the bottom.
One?
So someone replied to Andrew Tate's tweet saying, Alhamdulillah, mashallah. People don't complain if dirty old guys exploit their children and push a rainbow flag in their children's face, but see this as a problem. That's why Allah is the best of planners. The West is cursed and needs to be cleaned real good. Real good.
Real good. What is
ridiculous?
Okay. Yeah.
And D is reminding everyone, thank you, D, to like this stream. Exactly. Like this stream. You're here for a while, and we have lots of good, juicy stories this week. But let's go to a juicy update from Sweden.
Okay.
Because there'd be a lot of drama unfolding in Sweden, my friends. And then we have a very important news story from Iran. So make sure to stay tuned.
Okay. Can we? Oh yeah. Can we clap? Can we clap for this one? Yes, I think.
Yes.
Next news.
After Quran burning backlash, Sweden approves Torah-Burning. In an unexpected turn of events in Sweden, a provocative protest took an unexpected twist when Syrian origin Ahmed Alush was initially granted permission to burn the Torah and Bible as part of a demonstration, but then he dramatically altered his plans. Poised to light the holy books in front of the Israeli embassy, Alush abruptly discarded his lighter and declared, I'm a Muslim, we don't burn books. I want to show that we have respect for each other. This abrupt change came as a surprise, given the original protest was seemingly retaliatory to an earlier Quran burning incident. However, Alish's initial plan was not without severe backlash. Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Ariel Muzikant, president of the European Jewish Congress, strongly condemned the proposed act. Moreover, this saga has shaken Sweden's international relationships, drawing fierce criticism from Muslim majority nations and the UN Human Rights Council, threatening its NATO aspirations and exposing the delicate balance between freedom of expression and preventing religious hatred. Oh boy. So, there's a lot to unpack here. So, as we have been covering recently, there has been a lot of anger and hatred towards Sweden because Sweden allowed an Iraqi Christian refugee to burn and stomp on, put bacon on a Quran in front of the largest mosque in Stockholm. And this isn't the first time that there's been Quran burning in Sweden. Ramses Paludan, a far-right politician, has also been doing that recently, and it's caused a lot of problem with Sweden's NATO membership, because Turkey is blocking it and it has to be unanimous vote. And so in response, there was this guy from Syria and he's like, oh, okay, you want to burn the Quran? Okay, well, I'll go burn the other books. And it's kind of funny because I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't know this for a fact. This is speculation. But a lot of times when there's like a Quran burning incident, the knee-jerk response is like, well, you would never do this to the Torah. Like, it's like them trying to say like, oh, you're too much of a weakling to do this to like the Jewish religion because you're Zionist, or like other lame accusations. The same way where if you like blaspheme Hinduism, they're like, well, you wouldn't dare do this to Islam, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, you know what? Watch me. So he asked for permission to burn the Torah in front of the Israeli embassy. And at first there was a little back and forth about if it was going to actually happen, and then Sweden granted him the approval to do it. He was fully allowed to do it. And then, you know, it was his time. He held a press conference or whatever, and then when the time came, he threw down the lighter and he said, no, this is not a part of my religion. We don't do this, blah blah blah. Basically, he turned it into a one-man protest in favor of respecting religious texts, respecting sacred texts, not doing this kind of desecration. And yeah, but there's a comment that made me really angry from a Jewish group. But before I go into that, Armin, what is your initial reaction to how this Torah burning played out?
Yes, I know my mic is. All right, so I have a couple of points. First of all, he says, I'm a Muslim, we don't burn books. So that's an obvious fallacy there. It's an overgeneralization. Just in the same way that you shouldn't generalize bad things about entire group of people. If you find something positive, if you think something is positive, that is also something that is a fallacy if you generalize about an entire group of people. I mean, we don't burn books. You could say I don't burn books, but if we here means Muslims, well, sir, I have some news for you, because they be burning books. Muslims have burned books, a lot of books in history, entire libraries of books that were in the Quran. I mean, because they were in the Quran. Ali famously has a quote. Ali, the fourth Khalifa of Sunnis, or the first Imam of Shias. Omar also burnt a lot of books when he invaded many countries, right? Iranian books. The Arabs, when they invaded Iran, not all Arabs, the ones specifically, the ones that were attacking, when they came across libraries, they burned entire libraries of books. Ali, they were asked Ali one time, should we burn these books? He said yes, because if there's anything good in them, it's already in the Quran, and if it's not in the Quran, they're worthless, right? If they have anything that is not in the Quran, it's worthless. So he said burn them all. But also the Muslims have a history of burning the Quran, even, right? So Osman burned a whole copies of Quran apparently according to Islamic history, according to their own sayings, that had differences to the Quran. But when you burn copies of Quran, but because of slight differences, that would involve burning verses of it that are exactly the same as the original Quran. So yes, when Osman was burning books that were variations of the Quran, he was burning books. So again, when you say we are Muslims, we don't burn the Quran, that's obviously false. And that those book burnings are actually the wrong, morally, ethically, legally, are wrong because first of all, they are other people's books. When people burn books today, the Quran, as a sign of protest, it's a book that they purchased. It's their property. They're not stealing someone else's property to burn it. When Muslims burn books throughout history, they were burning other people's books, and they were books that were the only source of preserving those information. Right now, when you burn the Quran as a sign of protest, the Quran is not getting eliminated. It's on the internet, it's everywhere. But when Muslims were burning books when they invaded different countries, an entire field of science and philosophy and poetry and history were lost. Those were the only copies of those books. There is a wealth of information that is completely lost in history because of Muslims burning books. So that's my first point. Sorry, this is going to take a while. You mentioned somebody from Israel condemning this book burning of the Torah.
Just wait. I want to read the full comment because it pisses me off so much.
Okay. So I'm not going to talk about that. Yes. I do want to mention that this should not be, Sweden should not be, the burden of fighting for freedom of speech should not be on the shoulders of Sweden. I highly recommend people from more countries to get involved in this, because if Sweden is left alone, I know people from Denmark have recently have done this, which is good, but it's going to be harder to take international actions against Sweden if there's citizens from multiple countries doing this, because it's really hard for countries to come and try to boycott or condemn 10 European countries, for example. That would be almost impossible. So I really think now it's the time for people in Europe to stand up with Sweden to make it so that the burden is not all on Sweden. But go on. You wanted to say something? I have other points to make, but yeah.
No. I love Watcher gave the comment, "Welcome to Islamic history with Armin Navabi." I'm like, yes, students, everyone sit in a circle. We will listen to Professor Navabi. Do you have anything else you want to say, or should I read this comment?
You read that comment, yeah, for now.
Okay, so this is a comment that kind of set me off a little bit. So the president of the European Jewish Congress, Ariel Muslimkant, gave this statement, quote, "Provocative, racist, anti-Semitic, and sickening acts such as these have no place in any civilized society. Stamping on the deepest religious and cultural sensibilities of people is the clearest expression possible to send a message that minorities are unwelcome and unrespected," he added. This is what made me angry. These actions, based on contorted and specious free speech arguments, are a disgrace to Sweden, and any democratic government worthy of the same name should prevent it.
What? Wait, what is it? What is it? What is the point here? Do these people not understand?
It's anti-free expression. The point is, it's anti-free expression. That's the point of this statement.
I mean, I don't understand what these people want. First of all,
any
these people
democratic government worthy of the name should prevent it.
Why? What? I don't know how to respond to these, because these are just words that don't mean anything. What is the contradiction between a country valuing its free expression and being a democracy? Like, I don't even know where to start. Usually people might argue the other way around, but why? How do you even respond to something so foolish? How could you? Why would democracy be a contradiction to you having free speech, the right to free expression?
No. His statement is against free expression.
I know, but he's saying like he's suggesting that if you want to earn to be a democratic country, then you should stand against such free expression. If you want to
Exactly,
earn the
which
right
doesn't
to,
make sense.
that's what I'm saying. How is
Yeah.
that does not make sense. Like, where's the contradiction between being a democracy and having freedom of expression? You would actually think that somebody would argue the other way around, that to be an effective democracy, what is a democracy? A democracy is a society that is ruled by the expression of opinions of many people. So the higher freedom of expression that you have, the healthier of a democracy you are. So how is he making his point? Like, is he just making a point without arguing for it? Like, why would you not be a democracy if you are having such a high standard of free expression? Again, I don't know how to respond to it because it's just so nonsensical.
Yeah. Man, it's just really frustrating to see people immediately turn against these values that are the origin of the rights that we are now afforded, because it suddenly targets them.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even target them, it targets a book that contains an idea. Because Shikha is saying, I think it's totally anti-Semitic to burn the Torah or even Israeli flags. I completely disagree. But Armin, a lot of people seem to think that burning the Torah is uniquely anti-Semitic versus burning the Quran. How would you respond?
Why? It's actually so anti-Semitic for you to say that. I think it's anti-Semitic to say that because it's a bigotry of lower expectation. Isn't it a form of bigotry of lower expectation?
Well, certainly
like other people,
special privileging.
Yeah, because you are deeming certain group of people to be more fragile, more sensitive. Doing the same things towards them will be seen as more hurtful. This is a form of bigotry. It is anti-Semitic, I think, to consider a certain group of people to be so fragile to not to be able to tolerate a stance against their values and their beliefs. It's also anti-Muslim bigotry to suggest that, okay, burning the Bible, sure, but you know how Muslims are, so maybe not the Quran. I mean, who's being the bigot here? Right?
It's a little bit like ridiculous to.
Oh wait, Sheikha was being sarcastic. Well, here, Sheikha, it's not fair.
And you made the same point multiple times, Sheikha. How are we supposed to know?
Yeah, no, it's not fair to write a statement like that with no emoticons, no like, /s, and be like, oh, hey, I was being sarcastic. Like a statement like that with no indications of this sarcasm. How is anybody supposed to perceive this as sarcasm?
You know what? I think that was Shika's actual opinion, and then when we destroyed it, she was like, actually, that was sarcastic.
I will decide whether my opinion is sarcasm or serious based on how it's being received. How about that? It's Schrodinger's sarcasm.
Flawless. Flawless technique.
Okay.
But yeah, that I think that comment by the president of the European Jewish Congress made me upset, mostly because I was like, God damn, the last thing we need right now is more, especially after what happened with the United Nations last week and the statement by the United Nations Human Rights Council condemning the Quran burning. The last thing we need right now are more people betraying this value, betraying this seminal, integral, foundational value. That's the last thing we need. We don't need more attacks on this right now. And so I think that's why that particular comment got me so upset. Yeah. Should we read a few comments, or do you have any other things you want to say?
I do want to say something about
respecting
respecting people's beliefs nonsense, okay? This standard is so nonsensical because this person said, like, oh, I'm not going to burn the Torah because, I don't know, we respect other people's scripture. Okay, maybe you do, but you know who doesn't? Do you know who doesn't? Allah doesn't. Muhammad doesn't. So I don't know about this person's specific standards, okay, but I know the standards of the Quran and I know the standards of Hadith, and they do not respect other people's religions or scripture. Far from it. So it's so nonsensical for people to try to stand against burning of the Quran or Torah for the sake of respecting other people's religion, because based on that standard, condemning burning the Quran or the Torah would require you, if you are applying the same standards, would require you to condemn the Quran, the Hadith, the Bible, and the Torah itself. They are filled with teachings of disrespect, insult, condemnation,
Incitement to
and
violence.
incitement to violence against people of with different beliefs. So it's so hypocritical to come and pretend that this is about respecting other people's religions when the texts themselves don't respect other people's religion, and the people, and don't even respect the people themselves, don't respect them enough to provide them with the right to live in peace. It's the standards are like, imagine looking at a text and a book that says, like, to asks you to go kill people with different beliefs, and then condemning the person that is burning the text without causing any harm or asking for any harm to any individual that believes in it. You're just burning pieces of paper, and between these two, you decide to condemn the person that is burning paper over the paper that is asking you to burn people. I don't understand.
Yep.
Priorities are insane. The priorities are insane.
And it's privileged, right? This idea is privileged above other ideas. So much so that it is a sanctity that you cannot touch. We put it, let me, I'm about to go on a rant. Let me stop. Watcher, who is living in Sweden, our Swedish friend, is saying, so Khamenei has accused us of declaring war on the Islamic world recently.
Yes, I saw that.
Congratulations, my friend. If this is all it takes, damn.
Well, there's so much going on there because he is being compared with Khomeini, who issued a fatwa on Salman Rushdie, and it would be seen as weak if compared to him. He didn't do anything, but by doing this, he is actually now being compared more because he didn't issue a fatwa and Khomeini did. So even though he did declare this, he still is being portrayed as weak because he didn't go as far as Khomeini.
Why do you think he hasn't issued a fatwa?
Oh, because right now that would be, oh my God, right now that would be insane.
Why?
The international pressure. I mean, the international pressure on Khamenei right now, if he issues a fatwa on somebody like that.
I mean, I know this, but other people don't know this. And also, which is more important? Which is more important? Through his own framework. No. Shouldn't this other stuff be more important?
No. Through his own framework, nothing is more important than keeping the Islamic Republic standing. Khomeini, Khomeini famously said that if we have to choose between the life of the Mahdi and keeping up the Islamic Republic, we have to choose keeping up the Islamic Republic.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah.
That's freaking that quote still gets to me. Okay. Yeah. So you have a point, sir. You have a point. Space Alia is saying it's become an average Tuesday to see a Quran burn on the news here in Sweden.
I mean, that proves our point, though. It becomes normalized. This is a process on desensitizing people. I'm already seeing the desensitization in effect. Keep this up for another 5 or 10 years. Burning a Quran will not make it even in the news.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a world where I will go and anybody could go and be like, "Hey, I'm burning your Quran today," and they would just get no reaction, zero
Yeah.
reaction.
Well,
Like that
that's
would,
what Dee was talking about last week. She was like, all like Pakistan in particular freaking the F out about this. And then he's like, the Muslims that were literally standing right there in Sweden were not ripping their hair out the way that you guys are, and they were watching it happen with their own 2 eyes.
yeah.
And so I think you're totally right about the desensitization. This is a funny comment. Numan is saying, when Armin said "we Muslims," my heart stopped.
Why? I didn't get it.
Because you had a slip of the tongue and you said "we Muslims," like meaning
No,
that's you yourself.
no, I didn't have a
Like,
slip
yeah.
of the tongue. I was talking on that guy's behalf.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's funny. Gasian American gave us $5. Thank you, Gasian, saying, if I burn the Quran as an offering to my ancestors, may they convert and immigrate from Yama to Paradise, or must they await rebirth? This is a good question. If you engage in ancestor worship and burn a Quran, are your ancestors now Muslim? Did you just make your ancestors take the Shahada? No. These are important questions. And I love this occasion again, just nailing it out of the park, saying Armin's hot take, oxidized paper, not people.
I mean, if you have to oxidize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And
Hey, this is a good comment that you picked. Yeah. Thank you, Asian American.
And Timur on Twitch, guys, don't forget to go follow us on Twitch, is saying, where do you draw the line between bigotry and free speech? Here's the thing. I don't. Trick question. You don't.
You
Trick
don't.
question is,
That's a good question. Yeah. Bigotry is a form of expressing bigotry is protected under free speech. Why do you think
it should be
free speech? It should be. Why do you think that free speech is only for good speech? Free speech. I mean, guys, if free speech was only for good speech, we wouldn't need free speech because it would be it wouldn't need defending because it's just good speech. Yeah.
We can condemn it. We can say that we find this speech disgusting. We can rebuke any bigotry, right? But we shouldn't put conditions around it. Anything at all. So the trick question, you don't.
You don't.
Cool. So let's go to the next news. And I don't know if we should clap for this because I mean, like, I don't like it, but no one died. You can. Yeah, it would look bad if we clap for this.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Next news. Iran's infamous morality police return after 10 months of protests. 10 months after the protests triggered by the custodial death of Mahsa Amini, Iran's notorious morality police have made a comeback, resuming their vigilant watch over the country's dress code enforcement. Renamed and equipped with body cameras, this controversial force is actively patrolling cities, keenly enforcing the mandatory hijab laws. Saeed Motazar al-Mahdi, the spokesman for the Iranian police, has vowed to capture those wearing extraordinary clothing and, quote, still insist on breaking the norms. And those who still insist on breaking the norms. Their oppressive reach has been felt across society, from ordinary women on the streets to even Iranian celebrities. For example, actress Azadeh Samadi was compelled to undergo counseling sessions for her alleged personality disorder after daring to attend a funeral wearing only a cap instead of a hijab. This renewed crackdown by Iran's morality police, or Gasht-e-Rishad, as they're known locally, has sparked widespread criticism. Responding to the situation, the U.S. Special Envoy to Iran voiced concern on Twitter, quote, concerned by reports that Iran's so-called morality police are again cracking down to enforce mandatory hijab. It seems the regime has learned nothing from the protests. Women and girls everywhere should be allowed to wear whatever they want. The so-called morality police, a throwback to a repressive past, are thus once again at the subject of a heated international debate. So, Whew, there is a lot to unpack here. And I included some videos that I think we should watch as an example of the morality police coming back on the streets. And Armin, I've heard that they have been relaunched. And like Gasser Shad, like it's not the first time that they've been relaunched under a new name. I don't know if they officially have a new name, but I've heard that what they're doing now is they're going around in unmarked vans. Because previously you used to know what the morality police vans look like. They had little green stripes on them, right? And apparently now they're just straight up in unmarked vans. And a lot of these patrollers or besiegis are just using like body cameras to help capture people on the street and so forth in a more subtle way, and then use that evidence against them in court and so forth. But what have you heard? Tell me everything that you know and what you've heard about this from the Farsi side of things.
Well, I don't know if I could tell you everything because that its own it could be a 2 hour or longer stream, right? But I'll give you. I want to show you a video or two video that I just pulled up just to tell you how tense situations are getting. But a lot of people are extremely worried, and now because of this, but there's tensions. There's a lot of tensions, right? So there's tensions and disagreements between people who are against the regime about this, and also there's tensions and disagreements about this with regards to people who are supportive of the regime, right? So the people who are against the regime, they think that some of them believe that okay, this is a battle that we should be fighting, and this is the hijab is that represents the Islamic Republic, and we have already won this, and we have the women in Iran are now removing their hijab, and the government is not able to enforce the law, and we should now resist this just so that they can bring it back. And to have women be able to walk around without hijab is a symbol of people's victory over the government right now, and it displays the government's weakness. But a lot of people also, I'm in the first camp. I think this is very important part of this battle against the government. But a lot of, just to be fair to people, some people think that this is a game by the regime itself. It's a play. They're trying to make the hijab the most important part of this revolution to distract people from the economy and the lack of political rights and everything else that they're stealing from the people. I think that's a conspiracy theory. I don't think that's happening here. I think this is actually something that the government is really afraid of itself, right? So to demonstrate what I'm talking about, within the government, pro-government people, there's a major infighting going on among the religious people. We divide them into pink hardliners and brown hardliners, right? So the pink hardliners, they say like let this go, okay? Let people, this enforcement of Islamic laws is bad for the regime and bad for the Islam. Bad for Islam because it's making a lot of people hate Islam, and it's also it's going to, if you try to enforce the hijab laws, which is going to be impossible, you're going to have another massive event happening, and this is just going to be the end of the regime. And the brown ones, the brown Arzishi people or the hardliners, they're like, this is bull crap. The whole point of having an Islamic Republic is to have Islamic laws. Who are we if we don't enforce Islamic laws? This is what the martyrs died for. This is why we had a revolution. And if we give up on this, we have given up on the entire reason why we have an Islamic country. So that's there's so much more detail around that, but I'm not going to talk more because I want to show you some videos.
I also put 2 videos in the show notes.
You put 2 videos? Okay, I thought, oh yeah, you put 2. So I will show you. Let me see if this is the same one that I have. Oh yeah, you have the same one I do, but I'm going to show it on Twitter because it's bigger. Okay.
Mm.
So it's more full screen. All right, this is one of the videos.
Yeah, so
You picked the same video that I did. Okay, so this is just for context. This is a woman. So now, this is how many women are walking in Iran right now. This is her outfit. I even saw somebody with shorts and crop top, right? Just like
The
showing her.
absolute insanity of the bravery is in like I
Yes.
have no words. I have no words. Like yeah. Not
Yeah.
only no hijab, but like tank top and shorts. Like that
Yeah.
is next level.
And she was like, look at me, and she was like looking at the camera. I'm like, yeah, this is how we're coming out now. Okay, so by the way, this is the Muharram month. It's Ashura Taswa, so we're gonna see the the Gashter Shah coming back, and the anniversary of Mahsa's murder, and this is being the holiest month in Shia calendar. It's happening at the same time. So for people who don't know, a lot of Shia ceremonies are supposed to happen. Ashura Taswa is happening, so the environment is getting in the streets in Iran are getting extremely more religious. So this at the same time happening with girls coming out like this is the tension is through the roof. So a lot of people are scared because the Gashter Shah coming back, the morality pool is coming back right around the anniversary time, at the time that a lot of people might want to have another wave of the revolution coming at the regime. So there's just too much tension between liberal-minded people and religious-minded people, and the government is on edge. Everybody is on edge to see if this is going to be an explosive month or not, or the government. So the government is here's the thing: the government doesn't want to enforce hijab laws right now. The government is being forced to enforce the hijab laws right now because it's more afraid of the religious people's backing stopping than the liberal-minded revolutionary people. So there's two movements right now that is becoming anti. We have one big movement, which is the liberal-minded people who are secular-minded people who are against the regime. But because the government is afraid of them toppling the regime, they're giving in to their demands slowly. But that's now creating a new anti-government movement, which is religious-based. And the government is more, even though they are less in number, the government is more afraid of them because they are more violent. They are more ready to die. They are also more. They have also more people within the regime itself. So they're also the only base that the regime has left. So if you lose that, you have nobody, right? So that's why it's just like the government is stuck between a rock and a hard place. But look at the intensity of what you're dealing with. You could see the intensity of what you're dealing with just based on this reaction, I think.
Okay, this is irrelevant, but this woman looked so beautiful. Her outfit is so cute. She looks like an angel. Like, and then what she does and what she says, I'm like, I love you, girl. You look like an angel. Okay, let's go. Sorry, I have a crush.
Are we
on
gonna
her.
pause? Are we gonna? I don't blame you. Are we gonna pause and read, or just go right through it?
How long is the total
you
video?
should read. 50 seconds. I think you should pause and read. You
Yeah,
want to read it?
Yeah.
You want to? Okay, I'll pause for you to read.
So the man is saying you insulted the police. She says, don't, she's wagging her finger. She says, don't try to scare me.
So she's wagging her finger at the police. The police is recording her and she's not backing down. She's like wagging. She's instead of running away, she's like coming at the police, right? So don't try to scare me. So here's the thing.
Stand up for my rights with all of my heart.
Yes. And the police reminded her that I'm recording this. So, but she continued.
Remember that. I'm a woman and I will stand forever. I'm not afraid of you or of anyone else.
Okay, so the police, it's not translating what the police is saying. The police is saying, okay, fine. It means fine. No. Actually, the best translation is sure. Like that's what the police is saying, right? So. Okay, so I don't know why it's not translating this part. I think this was on Masih Ali-Najjar's Twitter account, but this is like an anti-religious part, and that part is not being translated. I think it's unfair. Hold on. That is so unfair. They are trying to, whoever is translating this, I think they're trying to be mindful of some people's religious sensitivities, because the part that was not translated was anti-religious. This is making me angry. Who did this?
Well, what did she say?
So he said, you are walking like this in front of like an Imam Hussein, I don't know, something, and this, you are trying to break taboo, like something, you're like you're doing this on purpose to break taboos or something like that. Let me listen to it again. Like, you're doing this on purpose in front of Imam Hussein's something. I don't know exactly what. Tesla maybe could tell me exactly what, something about Imam Hussein, right? Some religious event or some religious building or something, right? And you're doing this on purpose as a way to fight against holy things, right? And she came back and says, who the F is a Hussein? Who the hell is Imam Hussein? Like, basically saying, shut up with your Hussein. This is the brave part. And they censor, look at even the people who are anti-government, they are more scared than this woman, because they're saying this woman is brave, but the part that she's talking about, I'm standing for my rights, that has become normalized. We have so many women already saying that. The actual brave part of what she's saying is the part that this video did not see fit to translate. Look how taboo what she's saying is. It's so taboo that the video decided not to include it. And that is actually, that is such a disservice to her bravery. Look, she's saying, who the hell is Imam Hussein? She's saying that in front of the camera in Iran. That is the most taboo thing. None of what she said about hijab is as taboo as the part that they decided not to translate. Exactly. This is a better translation. Hussein who?
I love that.
That's what he's saying. He said, who the hell is Hussein? Like, basically, go F yourself with your Hussein. That's what she's saying. I am so angry that they didn't include that part. That was the most important part of this video.
The days of being afraid of you are over.
But look, look, she is not afraid, but you are afraid. The person who translated this video and posted this video, you are afraid. You are a coward because you did this. You're like for an audience that is living in a safe place. She's taking all the pressure and all the. She was arrested. She was made to do a forced confession. She's bearing all the cost. And you are not even brave enough to actually say what she's standing for. She said, you garbage person.
Shame on you.
Okay, so see, I see what the guy was talking about. You see the place that she was walking without hijab. You see that in the background? I think it's a Hosseiniya or something. Look, yes.
Yeah.
So see, that's what the guy was talking about. You see this mosque, and these are the red flags, and this says Ya Hussein over here, right? So I think this might be a Hosseiniya or something like that. So she was walking like this in front of this. That's what the guy was talking about, even though it wasn't in the translation. Okay, so the guy is like, I'm not here to guide you towards the right path. You are just a criminal. Like, I'm just here to just document that you're a criminal.
And I won't listen to a criminal.
Yeah, like you're a criminal. I'm not going to listen. So the woman is saying, why am I a criminal? What laws have I broken? So it's not translating what the man is saying. The man is citing the law that she's broken. So he's citing the law that is the hijab law, and he's citing it. And then the woman is saying what?
ماده 638 قانون اساسی
The translation is wrong. This is making me angry.
موضوع صحبت ندارم ماده 638 قانون اساسی
Okay, in what religion so it's like he's saying based on what law I'm a criminal, in what religion I'm a criminal. So it's just pointing, it's not complete. The translation is not complete. Saying I'm an adult human being. That's what you say. It's like I make my own decisions for my life. Like I choose what to wear, and the rest is none of your business. Okay, so I do want to mention that as this video was taken to demonstrate something, but it's doing the opposite. So the video was taken to demonstrate that we're out there and we're after you. Okay, but she in previous times, she used to be, women like this used to be just thrown in a van and being attacked, physically attacked, right? And we still have, that is still happening, and I will show a video of that. But the fact that these brave women come and display such bravery in front of a police, it's actually doing the opposite. It's not having, because the video was taken to scare people, but the video is encouraging people to stand up and be brave and not, because people feel shame that why, if she is this brave to stand up for her rights, why should I cower away? So the videos that the police is recording and trying to spread to scare people, it's having the opposite effect, right? But there's a lot of religious people that are now calling out excessive behavior of the police, that people who are sympathetic to the regime, and they're saying that you need to cut this crap out, and that is showing a divide within religious people and the pro-government people as well. And there's specifically a statement came out of Qom from high religious people, and they were like, this,
yeah, I sent that to you.
Yeah, they were saying that just enforcing these hijab laws are against Islam. That's what they were saying. That's how far it's going. And this is coming from the highest religious authority in the land. And they were referring to scenes like this. Let me show you another video. Did you see this video?
Oh, geez. No.
So this was recorded very shortly, close to them announcing that Gasher Shard was coming, the morality police was coming back, right? So again, male police officers are not supposed to touch women. So to force an arrest on a woman, they need to have a female enforcement officer, and this is what's happening here. So this is a woman without hijab, and this is a Gasher Shad lady that is trying to arrest her or something. Yeah.
23 تیر ماه دارم میگیرم.
Look at that again.
دیشا خیابون 33 امروز روز 23 تیر ماه دارم میگیرم.
So that was that. And then you had another video that you wanted us to watch? Or no?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to say that the woman whose video that we watched a second ago, where she's telling off the police officers, her name reportedly is Parmida Shabazi. And there's also reports that the security forces raided her home, abducted her,
yes,
and she was made to do a forced confession. Is that correct?
She was made to do a forced confession, yes. but nobody believes those forced confessions anymore. They're so ridiculous. Like they arrest people who are so aggressively against regime or Islamic values, and they put them in front of TV. Like, I believe that hijab is a good thing, and the state has the right. I made a mistake. Like, who are you fooling? Do you
It's
really
not about
like?
people believing it. It's about showing dominance. It's about showing
Yes.
totalitarian control. It's about sowing terror. That's what it's about. I mean, because they put people on TV doing forced confessions with the signs of torture visible on their bodies nowadays. They stopped caring. They used to at least try to make it look nice. No, now they just do it when it's like clearly this person has been visibly tortured before doing this forced confession. They don't give an F anymore. There's no pretense. It's literally just a show of force.
Yes, Eric. No, I've never shared that video before. That's a very recent video. That is very recent. I've never that video that I showed you is completely new. I'm sure of that. So no, I haven't shared that.
So what happened? This is a video from the north of Iran in a city called Rasht, and what had happened was reportedly is that there were 3 women who were attempted to be arrested by the Gashayashad, but citizens intervened. And there are some reports saying that they actually stopped the girls from being arrested. And then after news of that broke out, there was a huge protest in the city center against the morality police coming back. So I just wanted to show how this is very, very recent. I want to just show how large this crowd is.
Okay.
دنیا ببینید باید دنیا ببینه اینا که هایم زده.
So the guy is saying the world has to see. The world has to see.
How large do you think this is? There's a minimum of like 500 people here, like maybe even more.
Yeah, I don't know. They just
the caption doesn't give any details, but it's a massive, massive crowd. So it just goes to show like what the public sentiment is like, right? It's like immediately as soon as you're trying to implement this again in our city, we're going to fight back.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it will work though. I think it's like this is just a show for the religious people because they are angry. Like I think the regime knows that there's no way to undo this. Like the hijab, the mandatory hijab is going to go away. They have lost this battle, but they just want to make it effort for religious people to see so that they don't become anti-religious, and they want to document every single person that they abuse and harass. They want to make it sure that the religious people see so that they're the pro-government religious people see it so that their sadistic nature is satisfied so that they could leave the regime alone. Do you know what I mean? Just like the executions. So the religious pro-government people, they were demanding the executions of all the people that, thousands of people, right? And they executed 4 people, and their thirst for blood was satisfied, and those demands became less and less just by 4. They wanted thousands, they got 4, right? So the regime, I think that they want to play the same game. They're like, let's just give them something and record the crap out of it and just put it on social media so they see we're doing something, so that maybe they just shut up about it at some point. Yeah. So yeah, you have some comments that you highlighted?
We have a comment from Tesla June that has made me laugh. He was saying, also, we congratulate the death of Hussein to all friends in the Atheist Republic. Guys, congratulations on the death of Imam Hussein.
Yes.
And
by the way, this is why, can I mention something? This is why I don't wear black. So remember, during Muharram, during the days, that close to Hussein's death, and other days that Shias remember the death of their holy people, they tend to wear black. And I usually wear black, but during these days, wearing black is seen as a support for the government's ideology. So even though I usually wear black, I've been warned also to be careful about this, right? Because we don't want, and people in Iran have been encouraged to wear colorful shirts, like unlike when Shias wear black during these days. So, and them wearing black has been seen as a the government uses that as a vote of approval, right? So, for example, you ask the regime, pro-regime people, that why don't you have a referendum if you are so confident that there are people, because they constantly say the people of Iran are in support of the regime, and they ask for like they say like, okay, well, if you're so confident, just have a referendum. And like they say, we don't need a referendum. Just look at how many people wear black during these days, or how many people march during Arba'in, how many people go for a march. Look at the number of people that show up in the streets, or look at how many people show up for Qasem Soleimani's death. But that's stupid, because even if they are a minority, if when they show up, all of them show a decent number of, like, even if you're 10% of the country, if 1% or like 10% of that 10% shows up in the streets, that will be a huge number. That would like occupy the entirety of the streets. So that's not a good way to figure out what people's sentiments are, like who has more numbers behind them. So given that they use what people's clothes as a sign that their ideology is popular, a lot of people are like, well, don't support that. Even some religious people who are secular in mind, like they're anti-regime, but they're religious personally, but they're secular for, like, they have a secular mindset for the government, usually wear black during these days. But it's like, if they're using my religiosity as a way to support this regime, I'm not going to wear black. I see some of them actually wear like bright red, which I don't have a bright red shirt, but I've ordered one for Ashura and Tasu'a, just to make sure that at least in those 2 days, those are the 2 most significant days, that I have red shirts, because there's no way to show the most anti-black you could wear is red, which is also the color of Yazid during Karbala. So we're wearing his colors. We're wearing Yazid colors. In
hashtag Yazid was right. Hashtag Team Yazid.
Team Yazid. Hashtag Yazid did nothing wrong. So, which I have a. By the way, for people who don't know, Hussein is like the most holy, celebrated man in Shia Islam, and these Ashura, which is during the month of Muharram, is the day that he was killed by Yazid. Yazid was the supposedly evil guy that killed him, and Yazid is like in Shia Islam the most hated name, more than the devil himself, more than anything else, right? So we have a show on our Persian channel. We're going to have a show on Atheist Republic Persian channel, defending Yazid during the Battle of Karbala, and saying that why he was right to kill Hussein. Hussein was rebelling against a peaceful government, and if he ruled like anything like his father, which he seemed he would have brought chaos and misery to the society. So to crush that rebellion was something good that Yazid did. It was something that brought more peace and prosperity. So yeah. Anyways, I'm talking for too long. So sorry.
So we have a few super chats. Asian American is saying, should there be Quran burning emojis or apps? Something tells me that would never be allowed in the Google Marketplace or Apple Play Store, but you know. Kenny also gave us €5 with no caption. Thank you very much, Kenny. And Ramin also gave us a few Turkish lira and said, Happy Ashura, everyone.
Happy Ashura. Ashura Mubarak.
Ashura Mubarak.
I'm going to use that. Ashura Mubarak. Ashura Mubarak. Okay.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I remember saying that to you once, and you're like, Susanna, Ashura is not something that's like a happy holiday. I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
Yes.
So Armin, just a heads up for this next news. on the news article, when you put it up on the screen, do not scroll down.
Oh my God. I am scrolling down right now.
Well, don't.
Okay. I'm gonna get you to be on full screen before we got another super chat. Mustafa just burned a Quran. There you go, Quran.
This is how. Thank you for the super chat, Mustafa. This is how you burn the Quran in emojis.
Yes. Oh, Kenny's asking for trigger warning. We're not going to show it.
We're not going to show it, but this next news involves honor-based domestic violence. So
all right, so I'm not going to clap, and I'm just going to put myself down. Okay, so don't start until I'm all the way down. All right, next news.
Next news: Somali woman beaten for dancing without hijab on TikTok. In a disconcerting incident, a Somali woman faced a violent backlash from her own brother for dancing without a hijab on TikTok. The woman, known as Hafsa Queen Djibouti, has a considerable following of 150,000 on the platform. After uploading a video of herself dancing in a sleeveless black dress without a hijab, the clip quickly gained over 1 million views. However, the subsequent video she uploaded revealed her badly beaten and bruised face, hinting at the violent response she received for not adhering to the hijab rule. In the face of such shocking domestic violence, the internet's reaction was divisive, with some even praising her brother for protecting her honor. One Twitter user stated, quote, "May Allah reward him for protecting his sister's honor." Regrettably, mainstream media and many progressive activists have been reticent about highlighting this issue, potentially due to the fears of appearing so-called Islamophobic. This silence exemplifies the persistent struggles around the debate on Islam in the West and raises questions about the commitment to defend human rights universally. So I don't really want to show any imagery from this news story because the way her injuries after she was beaten, because she posted several videos of herself afterwards. So apparently, like, this woman, she comes from a Somali family. I'm not 100% certain where she's actually living. And she normally posts, I guess, most videos of her wearing the hijab. And then she posted one video of her in this like black dress that didn't have sleeves on it. And she was wearing hijab and she was just dancing. And the next videos that she posted were of her face looking like an alien. Like, she's so badly beaten and swollen, she was unrecognizable. And she's wearing the hijab again. And in one of them, she's just like looking at the camera and just like crying, like, as it's just, you know, just it's so bad. And what's really horrific is that there were tons of people mocking her. It became a trend on the platform that people would take the video of her crying and like mock it and make parodies out of it and joke about it. There was a poll that someone put up on Twitter asking Armin, don't do it. Asking if her brother should have killed her, and the majority of people who answered that poll said yes.
Okay, we don't say that, YouTube. We're just describing the news, YouTube, just in case we get a strike and you want to be able to refer to this moment. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And it's just really like horrific. It's really, really bad. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, I saw the images of her face afterwards, but I couldn't bring myself to watch it because it just makes my stomach. It was so hard. And I mean, and I've had to look through reports of like ISIS beheadings and stuff to prepare for this show. And this, I was like, I can't. And to see people mock it, to see people openly encourage it, to see people openly praise her brother, tell him that he should have done more, aka straight up take her out. And people even saying, how old is she? She looks like she's between the ages of like 16 to 26. Soon she's going to be too old for marriage anyway, and you're going to have to only give her to her clan elder, all this stuff. Like, just so many levels of violence, control, dehumanizing, devaluing. Like, it's I like barely even know how to begin. But Armin, what's your reaction to this? I mean, obviously it's horrific.
I mean, this is an example of how religion rots the mind. It's just, I don't think the human mind by itself can tend to be this ugly. It doesn't get like this just on itself. It doesn't.
No,
it's not naturally like this. I mean, if you compare the videos before and after, you see the joy, the happiness, the celebration, and then the ugliness of the video after the beating. And I mean, I think inherently we can decide which one is beautiful and which one is ugly. But all of these people who are reacting, who choose, like, they saw a woman happy dancing and they thought that is ugly. And they saw the beating, the face swelling, the person crying. They celebrate that video. They're against the dancing and the happiness and joy. But the beating video, that is the one that makes them happy. That's the one that they're celebrating. Like, how is a religion, how is an ideology so backward? They could make the most beautiful thing seem so ugly, and the most ugliest thing seem so beautiful. I mean, how else can you display how disgusting and how evil you are to take such a strong position against joy, against dancing, against beauty, against singing, against enjoying life? Like, you're screaming to the world that we are anti-life, we are pro-death, we are pro-misery, we are anti-joy. There's no better way of displaying, of effectively showing to us, of demonstrating to everybody what your religion stands for. I mean, this is not, for people who say these are some people, this is not the religion. Some people don't get like this. Humans don't get like this without a disgusting ideology. It is not the people, it is the religion. What turns people like this? What excuse people have to be like this without such a religion? It is the religion. It's not the people. It is the religion. What else could it be? We are not meant to be like this as human beings. I don't know what else to say.
Man, it's just like, and it's so sad to say that she genuinely is lucky to be alive. She genuinely is lucky to be alive. Because there are so many women that are murdered for this, and much less. Yeah, Armin is looking at the photos in the backstage. It's horrific. It's so bad. Oh, we can hear that.
Wow. I know. This is, I played it so that they could hear her crying, at least for you guys, but people are playing happy songs on top of it.
That's what we're saying. Like, people are mocking it and taking the video and just making a mockery out of it. Like, there's so many people celebrating this, promoting this. I don't know how you see her injuries and
these people are disgusting.
Promote this.
Her face is completely changed.
She's unrecognizable.
How could you do that to your own sister? Jesus Christ.
Because of honor. Because of dogma and indoctrination surrounding beliefs about honor. Because you think If your sister was doing this publicly, it makes you less of a man in the eyes of your community. And the only way to solve that is to terrorize her and put her in her place in the most violent form possible so she learns her lesson. And there are people openly saying, and the majority of people in the polls voting, that he should have just killed her entirely for not being covered. That's what this is over. That's what this is about. For not being covered. For not having hijab. And so, Armin, I was reading an article about this, and it was basically highlighting feminists' complete disregard for this story, because this video and the fallout from this video had millions and millions of views. And this article was basically calling out Western feminists for not touching this, because no Western feminist has commented on this. Wow. And they're talking about their failures and their hypocrisy. So what do you think about that?
I think it's well deserved. I mean, here's the thing. If you find one feminist who hasn't spoken about this, I don't think that is fair, okay? Because you don't know what's going on with her. You don't know her capacity. You don't know her focus, okay? So if you find individual feminists and say like, okay, why is she not talking? You don't know why she's not talking about it, right? But if you look at the entirety and you see a lack of...
It's silence.
It's silence. And they're like, okay, I can understand why this specific person is not talking about it. I can understand why that specific person
but
maybe
no
not
one,
talking about
no
it.
one.
But, or even if there's few, why so few? Like, I don't understand why there's such a low reaction. You cannot, I can't judge individual feminists, but I can judge the entirety of the movement. At least the Western version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is disgusting.
It is.
It's disgusting.
Vile.
You have failed. You have failed your sisters. You have failed women. You do not stand for what you claim you stand for. You are just virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's explicitly why I wanted to talk about this story. That's explicitly why I want to talk about this story.
Thank you for making sure that we see this, Susie, and the rest of the team.
Yeah. Eric Olson is saying that Somalian woman wasn't the only woman who got badly beaten last week. 2 Iraqi girls were also brutalized and killed the same week, I believe. Here's the thing. I did hear a story about a 9-year-old girl who was honor killed by her father for doing a TikTok video in Iraq. I was thinking about covering that story, but I couldn't find a lot of sources around it. So I'm not positive about how credible it is. But that's also likely something that happened. Killing your 9-year-old daughter over posting a video like dancing online. It's insane. And Dee had a point that I think summarizes it very well, saying women's lives are worthless according to many of the commenters. Very disturbing. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next news, which is related to kind of this issue about control over women, totalitarian control over women. It's not as explicitly violent, but I don't know if we want to clap.
Okay, no clap? Okay. Next news.
Locked in tradition, shocking Middle Eastern laws trapping women at home. In a grim reflection of the persistent gender inequality in the Middle East and North Africa or MENA region, women continue to be shackled by oppressive laws that limit their freedoms and opportunities. According to a report by the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security, the MENA region hosts at least 7 of the world's worst countries to be a woman. In a chilling testimony, Aya, a nearly 30-year-old Jordanian woman, revealed to The Guardian the debilitating restrictions she faces under male guardianship laws. Quote, "I am a prisoner at home," she stated. "If I go without my family's knowledge, they'll lock me in a room and beat me so hard that I'll feel pain for months. I'm threatened with death." Echoing Aya's statement, Lena, another Jordanian woman, detailed her forced confinement, despite being a significant breadwinner in her family. Quote, "You have a spectrum of women who are controlled. Some have curfew, but other women can't even see their friends at a cafe. You have no ability to have a social life in that respect." Lamented Rathna Begum, a senior researcher at the Human Rights Watch. The grim realities of these women underscores the urgent need for legal reforms in the championing of women's rights in the region. So I wanted to cover this because so The Guardian profiled several women, actually particularly in Jordan, who are forcibly confined to their homes, and interviewed them about their experiences, obviously with fake names. And they were also highlighting an extensive report that was recently published by Human Rights Watch. And I read a significant portion of this full report. This is like over 100 pages, detailing and breaking down laws that control women's freedom of movement across the entire region. Very, very detailed. And so I can talk a little bit about the specifics of that report if you're interested. But I was really moved in particular by the stories of these women and what they talked about, because it's one thing for you to hear about what that these things exist on the books, and it's another thing to hear about women who are actually living it, and they have zero, like close to no or no legal recourse. And by law, they're trapped there. And there was one woman who was interviewed, and she literally earns more money than everyone in her family through an online job that she has. But she is not allowed to leave the house. She had to beg her family to let her go to an online university that only required her to be in person twice a month max, only to do exams. And her family didn't want to let her do even that. And finally, they let her. It's like, okay, if my dad escorts you. The other thing is that this woman earns the most money out of everyone in her family. So she's like basically the prominent breadwinner of her family. And she even turned down a promotion because she didn't think that she had the social skills required to excel in the role that her job wanted to give her. Basically saying, I am so poorly socialized because I'm never allowed to leave the house that I don't think I can actually excel in this job because of the complete lack of socialization. And I mean, it's really, really rough. These women just talk about how basically they just fantasize about self-deletion, because even when they leave their family's home, when one day they get married, it's just going to be the same life. It's just going to be the same life. They can't even go out to go to a cafe with their own female friends. The level of tight control, and they have no legal recourse. And I thought this was really important to highlight because a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like they forget that how stringent the male guardianship system is in these countries, or the different forms that it can take. How it completely infantilizes women. Even grown women traveling with their children, like, are not allowed to go anywhere without like the guy checking your ticket on the plane literally being like, where is your husband right now, to tell you that it's okay that you travel with your own children. It's like, I'm not a minor. I'm in my 30s. I'm a mother. My husband dropped me off at the airport. This is one of the stories. Like, what do you mean, where's my husband, to tell you as you're checking my ticket that I have his permission? Like, it's so infantilizing. It's against every I mean, I don't even know where to begin. A lot of it is self-explanatory. Obviously, it's against freedom of movement. It's against any international treaty on gender equality. And it also, when you think about it, it inflicts a significant socioeconomic damage upon these countries themselves. Because how is a woman supposed to go out and earn when there are people patrolling and saying, actually, where's your husband, blah, blah, blah. But like, what if your husband needs to work too? How is he supposed to take the time out of his day to transport you to work and back? Or like, what is he supposed to stand over his shoulder while you're working? Like, no, he has to earn too. So there's so many consequences to policies like this. But Armin, what do you think?
They make apps for that. So that you get your husband can give you permission, remove the permission for different activities, and you have the app to prove it. There used to be apps for this, right? So to make it more convenient for your husband or the father. Yeah, it depends on the country, obviously. But I remember one person who ran away. She hacked into her father's phone, to change the permission so she could get on a plane and run away from the country, and she was successful.
Wow.
So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the lengths that you have to go to is absurd. And it just makes me so upset. Like, oh my God. I was talking about this before the show, where when I was reading the whole report, I was like, I just couldn't get over the fact. I'm like, this is so backwards. This is so backwards. And we're not supposed to talk about that here in America? We're not supposed to have an honest discussion calling this what it is? Talk about betrayal. Talk about betrayal. Where the F are our priorities? People are going to tell me because of the color of my skin and where I come from that I'm not supposed to talk about this, that I'm not supposed to call it what it is, which is backwards. Even though I'm a woman and I have an interest as a human being, fuck being a woman, I have an interest in the safety, security, and freedom of movement of any vulnerable citizen in the world. Fuck what anyone tells you, females are more vulnerable. Right? And it reminds me of this article that was written by my friend Omema, who comes from a Salafist background. And it was her going to a debate between Roxane Gay, that feminist, and I think it was maybe Christina Thompson. I can't remember the other feminist name. But basically, Roxane Gay, this so-called feminist, when asked about, if we should speak on behalf of what Saudi women are going through, she said, no, it's not our place. They can speak for themselves. They literally can't. You're telling me these Jordanian women who are threatened with honor violence on a daily basis can speak for themselves and fight for their own rights when the entire system is systematically against them? There's so many in this report. It was going through just example after example after example of if you try to run away, you'll be brought back. If you're shown, your husband can report your disobedience to the police in many countries. And then you have the gall to say these women can speak for themselves. And I'm not trying to take someone's voice away from them. I'm being pragmatic, right? I'm being pragmatic. Some women are willing to face those consequences, right? But the vast majority probably aren't, because it's a threat to their literal life. And to expect women to be like, where's your voice? Speak for yourself. When the threat is death and consistent domestic abuse that shatters your psyche, and you're just going to be like, I actually can't speak for them. It's not my place. It's a betrayal, and it's shameful, and it's disgusting. And we should have the gall to just be like, yeah, this is freaking backwards. Like, it makes me so angry. when I hear issues like this, when I started doing Atheist Republic very early on, when I still had a Twitter before I got banned, this is a little bit of a personal story, and I might get emotional. I was contacted by a 17-year-old girl in Saudi Arabia who was an ex-Muslim atheist. And this 17-year-old girl would send me photographs of how badly she was being beaten by her father and brother, and begging me to help her escape. And there were a couple other details, and I obviously can't share the details. And it was heartbreaking because she was going to be forcibly married, but she was 17. And considering that she's legally a minor, there is very little that I can do for her. Because if I try to help her in her case in certain ways, that can be considered trafficking a minor. There's very little that I can do for her. Besides just being like, what can we try to do to figure out basically until you get old enough, until maybe I can help you. But she doesn't have the luxury of that time. And I see what they're doing to her physically. You know? And I connected her to as many resources as I could. I tried to talk to people that were more experienced to see what we could do. And it's like, literally like, she's too young. What can we do? Legally, like, it's too dicey. We can't take over right now. And it made me so heartbroken. I don't know what happened to her. And at the same time, because this was early on in my activism, I was losing all of my friends because they didn't like what I had to say. I don't know what they thought about what I was promoting. Maybe they think I was going far right or some nonsense, or promoting bigotry or something. And when I would see the damage done to her body, what surprised me is that the emotional reaction that I would have is the person that I was most angry at were all the people who were abandoning me as a friend, even though they had previously told me that my friendship and sympathy and empathy towards them had saved their life, throwing away some of the most valuable relationships I'd had in my life at that point. I was so furious at them. Because I'm like, where are your values? You hate me? You are leaving me behind as a friend because you're too scared to be guilty by association to be a friend of mine? Because I'm standing up for a child like this? It's that level of like betrayal of these people. These are like left-leaning, super progressive LGBT so-called feminists themselves. They have the gall to tell me that I'm hateful. Sometimes it still really makes me upset. The lack of integrity. Because I had some friends who would tell me when we were having private conversations where they were concerned, they would have a call in. They'd be concerned and they want to talk to me about what I'd been saying online and promoting at Atheist Republic. And privately, they'd be like, Susanna, I agree with you. But publicly, it was more important for them to remain popular and not be canceled among their own friend group than to actually have some integrity. still gets to me.
Seems
I don't
like
know.
it's it seems like some people have had the same experience as you with their circle of friends. So I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I
because
saw indirectly.
what I have to, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, people can say what they want about me. They can believe what they want about me and what I do. But I just have to know within myself that maybe you think I'm a complete dumbass, but I I have some freaking integrity within my own personal character. You know, maybe you don't like what I have to say, but I have enough integrity. And honestly, it was Armin. You're the one that inspired me to be this way the most. Because the reason why you were originally like my hero is because I was, especially at where I was 3 years ago, it was so unusual for me to see someone who was willing to say what they believed to be true before saying what was popular. And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to say what I think is true, even if it comes at the cost of what's popular.
I remember the times that you were going through this. I'm not going to share details because I haven't checked with you if I can, but it wasn't an easy time for you. But I do want to say that you came because when you used to talk about this, first of all, you used to talk about this privately. I didn't even think you would ever come up and say this openly to anybody. This was like a while back, and you were devastated. But now you talk about it more in a sense of, you know, from a position of strength and anger rather than somebody that, you know, that has been hurt, you know, somebody then is somebody you are more sure because before I remember you were not sure maybe if you have made the right decision, and these people who had left you were kind of torn. Have you made the right decision or not? And you were so sad to lose such valuable people in your life. But now you don't seem so iffy about it. You know that it was worth it. You are, you know, you're standing your ground. You know, it was worth the cost.
It's
And
easily worth the cost. It's easily worth the
Yeah.
cost. Someone needs to talk about these things. Like, so
Yeah.
to prepare for this news, I have a friend that lives in Jordan. So I asked him his opinion about this news story in Jordan. And he said, it's so great that you guys cover this, because if our media here covers it, then there will be a movement against them saying that they are against Islam. So even within our own culture, you want to talk about speak for yourself, be your own voice, all this stuff. Even within our own culture, we can't because of the Islamism, right? So we need outside people to talk about it. And then if you guys don't talk about it because of PC nonsense, then no one's talking about it. And these women are left abandoned to confinement and suicidal ideation. So I would much rather, I would do it all over again. I don't regret a thing. When I mean, I can't give the details, right? But we have women like in our community in Iran that have sacrificed and faced hell. Right? And in the face of that, I don't want anyone else to call me brave. I don't want anyone else to ever call me courageous.
Well, you're a lot
all.
stronger. But you are a lot stronger than before, right? You used to be devastated about this, yeah. But you are, you know, I'm so proud of how much you've grown regarding this issue, you know, before. It's like night and day. You right now compared to you before about the same topic. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the change. Do you notice the personal growth you have made over this topic? Yeah, I feel like you're a lot more fierce and stronger than just like 2 years ago. Yeah. Anyways.
Sorry for the personal tangent.
Oh, thank you guys. I like the support. Thank you, Oxymoron, and everyone else in the chat.
Oxymoron is saying Atheist Republic is a very brave organization in general. And I love that because he hates our opinions and thinks we're dumbasses sometimes. But even he's like, okay, you know what? I might think they're dumbasses, but they have integrity within their dumbassery.
Yeah. All right. Can we clap for the next news? Oh, by the way, let me see. Darko just got 5 memberships for people. So thank you, Darko.
Wow. Thank you, Darko.
Gifted,
that's so nice.
Gifted, yeah.
Guys, if you just got a membership, go drop some of our special emojis in the live chat.
Oh, guys, you're being so sweet in the chat. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you. Okay, can we? Oh, you said we can't clap? I'm sorry.
This one is no bueno. No one died though, but damn, this is our last like not good news.
Last sad news. Okay,
Yes.
okay, all right. So I'm not gonna clap because then we can clap all the way. All right, next news.
Next news: religious coercion turns violent. Muslim man brutally attacked in India. A 21-year-old Muslim man, Saheb Ali Khan, was brutally attacked in Bhilwara, Rajasthan, India, underscoring the growing religious tensions in the region. Khan was forced to chant Jai Shri Ram, a slogan commonly used by Hindu nationalists, before being violently assaulted, leading to severe injuries requiring hospital treatment. Recalling the horrifying incident, Khan said, "I was going about my business, heading to buy milk from a nearby shop, when Mukesh Jugar and 4 of his accomplices suddenly stopped me. They abused me and forced me to chant Jai Shri Ram. I told him he couldn't force me to chant the slogan, which enraged him. Within moments, his companions arrived with swords, bats, and iron rods, mercilessly assaulting me and targeting my head and body. Despite the violence inflicted upon him, Khan bravely lodged a case against his attackers, who reportedly have a history of criminal offenses. This incident has sparked calls for better protection for Muslims and other religious minorities in the area."
Wait, so nothing sparked the violence? It was just like you be a Muslim?
So there was like the ways that it was reported was that basically he was going about his business, and he was this man intercepted him when he was just trying to go buy milk or something, and they tried to force him to chant Jai Shri Ram, and then he initially like complied. He did the chant and then like just ran away because he was like in fear for his life. And then when he went to a nearby tea shop, and then he encountered that man again, and then he tried to confront the man who forced him to do the chant, and basically saying like, "Oh, is it right that you would would compel me to recite a slogan? Like, is that right? Is that correct? Blah, blah, blah." And in response, this man called him a slur and then threatened him and then called over his friends. And because this man was like, "Hey, you can't force me to do this. How dare you try to coerce me to do this?" That's when the friends were called over and he was violently assaulted. He lost consciousness during the attack, and then apparently the assailants assumed he was dead and then ran away once they thought that he had died. And luckily he had a nephew that was in the area who took him to the hospital. And he even says, he's like, if I hadn't managed to escape, or if there hadn't been people there, you know, he thinks he would have been killed.
And is the government taking it seriously? Like, are they looking for the people who attacked him? I'm assuming they are.
All I know is that he has filed a case against them with the local police. And at least 2 people have been arrested in the case so far. He has a lawyer that's involved in pressing charges.
Yes. Okay. Well, and people are saying in the live chat that this is a state that is ruled by the opposition, so they're hoping for a better response. I don't know if that's fair to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can I be honest about something for a second? When
Go
I
on.
was preparing and covering this news, I realized that I've become like desensitized to this kinds of attack in India.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. I don't like it. To be like, oh yeah, it doesn't even faze me that someone was like that a Muslim man was like beaten within an inch of his life because he doesn't want to chant a Hindu religious slogan. I shouldn't be desensitized towards that. I don't like that feeling. That's a horrible standard. And I don't like that that's my standard for India right now. I hate that.
Yeah. So here's something that some people might be tempted to do and compare it with an Islamic country, which is a lot worse. Right? And we do know that, for example, in Pakistan, this would be a lot worse, for example, right? It is a lot worse. But that is missing the point. Constantly pointing at countries that have it worse than India is going to be used as a way to dismiss this as a problem worth attacking or worth standing against. Like, countries don't get better by comparing themselves to how bad other countries are. Countries get better by comparing themselves to how good they could be. And India is moving towards becoming a superpower, a global superpower, right? Economically. And nothing can stop that, not even this religious extremism. India will become an economic superpower. But imagine how much more it could be because India has this potential. This divide in society, this religious extremism, this conservatism is going to take away a lot of, and I think, like, I don't know if people will understand what I'm talking about because it seems too economical. And if I say what I'm trying to say, a lot of people might think that I'm dismissing this one individual's life, right? But there is so much more at stake than what you're seeing here. Because as bad as this attack is, the level of instability, the level of political chaos, the level of hatred within the community, the level of lawlessness, the level of secular and liberal standards and principles that we know results in a more advanced country. Like, the reason why India is so much ahead of Pakistan is because it inherited some of these values within its constitution, and that's why it's so much farther ahead of other countries. So if anybody wants to protect India, it has to fight against this divide. It has to fight against the religiosity and the conservatism and the extremism within society and the government. Because, and I think it's going to be so hard for people to understand what they're losing because India is going to grow no matter what. So because India is going to grow no matter what, they're not going to be able to realize how much more they would have grown if this wasn't part of their society. And they're not going to notice the opportunity cost. There's two things that is going to make many Indians not know the actual cost of these values and these principles spreading in their society. One, the fact that India is going to grow no matter what, and two, because they always have Islamic countries to compare themselves with, and they're going to look better compared to those Islamic countries.
Compared to their neighbors, it's not a hard competition.
Yes, and because of this false analogy, because of this lack of perspective, and not understanding how opportunity cost works, there's going to be a lot more lives ruined, a lot more people die because of nutrition, pollution, healthcare, than this one individual being violently beaten. Like the costs are astronomically higher than what's visible to the eye. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is so hard for people to grasp because people just see what's on the news. People just see one person was beaten up and they think, oh, that's the cause. That is not the actual cause. That is just the tip of the iceberg of what the cost actually is to society. Yeah, I do think, but we should keep reporting. It is important. I know, but I just want to mention. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just want to say when we report something like this, when you see somebody being held and be forced to say Jai Shri Ram, and if that is an increasing trend, this one individual is not bearing all the costs. The entire society is, and I don't know the most effective way to convey that message, to show why I'm saying that and how big of a crime this is to India for people who think that in defense of India, they're whitewashing this. There's nothing more anti-India than to take this trend not seriously. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the people who are in the name of nationalism defending India and trying to dismiss cases like this away, they are the greatest criminals to India themselves. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking because I don't know if I have to find a better way to display this rather than just talk about it, because it is very important. Yeah,
I know what you mean though. And Shikha gave a super chat. Thank you. And this is sarcastic, guys. She's saying, but at least we don't behead others. Here she is parroting the whitewashing that Hindutva do.
Yeah. Wait, were there any comments? Oh yeah, I did see some comments. I don't want. See, these are not helpful criticism. Look at this. India is a terrorist state under BJP. This is such an unhelpful way of criticizing India. India is not a terrorist state. That is nonsensical. Like, India is so much better than when some people try. This is why some people defend India in a way that it doesn't make sense, and there are other people who criticize India in a way that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? India is a terrorist state. It's not. What is this? Look at this. Another comment. Dear 20-year-old youth, find other Muslim Indians, unite, organize, prepare. If you don't want to be led to the coming slaughter like sheep, that is. So I don't know what to make of this, because this is also putting people against other people. Like, why does this have to become so tribal? Why can't people rely on their police? This is under the security of their own government, rather than making this a Muslim versus Hindu thing. This is a dangerous trend, and it's only increasing. And the cost associated with this is going to increase as India increases, because of the potential there that is not being met. Anyways, let's move on. I talked for too long. Okay.
Do you have the next news prepared?
Yes.
Beautiful.
What? Did he do this?
Yeah, let's clap for this.
All right, next news.
Trump's attack on atheists backfires. Former President Donald Trump's disparaging comments about atheists at the Faith and Freedom Coalition Policy Conference in Washington sparked a pointed response from the Secular Coalition from America. Trump referred to atheists as part of a group of, quote, arsonists, globalists, and Marxists in a statement that has been denounced by the coalition, a network of non-religious organizations. Stephen Emmert, the executive director of the coalition, reacted to Trump's allegations, saying he has used non-religious people as a punching bag, as he has done with many groups for many years. This just seemed like an odd collection of people to go after. I mean, we are opposed to arsons as well. Emmert further pointed out the significant size of the non-religious demographic, stating non-religious people made up nearly 30% of the population. We are not exactly some fringe group, thereby arguing the folly of disregarding atheists and non-religious people as a potent electoral force.
What the hell? First of all, this is silly. This is stupid. But one of the best things Trump has ever done, in my opinion.
Can I give you his full quote?
Give me his full quote.
Okay. The conference, he said, "Together, we're warriors in a righteous crusade to stop the arsonists, the atheists, the globalists, and the Marxists."
Wait, what? That makes even less sense than before. Together, we're warriors against
conservative movement of warriors in a righteous crusade against arsonists, atheists, globalists, and Marxists. Obviously.
Okay, this is beautiful. I love this. Do you know how easier my job is now? Do you know how hard it has been for me to convince a lot of atheist Iranians that Trump is evil? Now I don't have to try so hard because Trump has taken a stronger stance against the Islamic Republic than the Democrats. So a lot of Iranian atheists kind of like, well, you know, these Democrats kind of play lovey-dovey with the with our regime, and it's the Republicans that we need to support because they are, and they have a lot of, again, it's half-half. It's not half-half. It's not all Iranian atheists, but it's unfortunate that many Iranian atheists or many anti-religious Iranians support Trump because of its stronger position against the Islamic Republic. But thank you for this gift, because I always tell these Iranian atheists, how could you, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you are pro women's rights. Well, this guy, have you seen what this guy has done when it comes to women's rights in the United States? His anti-trans positions, his anti-secularism positions, his anti-free speech positions, his anti, when it comes to fighting against global warming, his positions, all of these are values that you celebrate, but at the same time, you value secularism, you value women's rights, you value trans rights, you take global warming and taking measures against it seriously. But then at the same time, you say like, "Oh, I love Trump." It's insane. It's hypocritical. But this line for me is going to be now easy to throw in the faces. Like, what do you got? What do you got now? This makes my job a lot. This makes my job a lot easier.
And I thought it was an interesting argument because 30% of Americans are non-religious, and 17% of those are independents. So you're losing out, or you're demonizing, a potential significant electoral force.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Unfortunately, atheists in Muslim countries and around the world, unfortunately, on average, they don't take these things seriously. That's why it's so easy to be anti-atheist. It's so easy to be anti-atheist, and I blame most atheists. Because if you talk about Muslims like this, if you talk about, like, even Trump, who has taken positions against Muslims, won't dare say a statement like this about Muslims. Imagine that. Let me read this statement again. Where is it? Imagine the word reaction.
Scroll a little bit down. It's right there.
Yes. Okay. I blame atheists for this. Because I have to give credit to Christians, to Jewish people, to Muslims, to Hindus. They won't let something like this stand without a major cost. Okay. Have you guys heard, how many atheists here heard Trump say this? I bet you the vast majority of you have not even heard that Trump has said something like this. But if you were a Muslim and Trump had said something like this about Muslims, you would have heard it by now. If you were a Hindu and Trump had said something like this about Hindus, you would have heard it by now. Let me read this. Together, we're warriors in a righteous crusade to stop the Jews. Let that sink in.
Armin, please give some. Oh my God, YouTube, Armin.
YouTube. Yes. So see how we're worried now about YouTube. Okay, but if I just said atheist, we wouldn't have to worry about YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. I'm making a point. We're not anti-Jewish. We're making a point. We're not anti-Semitic. But look at Susanna's reaction. Here's the thing. I'm a hypocrite, Susie. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite as well. You know why I'm a hypocrite? Because when I said that statement, I felt disgusted saying it.
For good reason.
I didn't. I know, but I didn't feel disgusted saying that with the word atheist. I know it's for a good reason, but I felt like puking when I said that statement about Jewish people. But the same statement with the word atheist replaced for Jew, I didn't have the same, even though I'm an atheist, I'm not a Jew, but I didn't have the same gut negative reaction against atheists. Let me say the statement again with Muslims. Together, we're warriors.
Don't.
Okay, just say it in your mind. Just say it in your mind.
You're stressing me enough. You're stressing me out enough, bro.
Just say that word, the statement in your mind. Together, we are warriors in a righteous crusade to stop the momos. I don't know what to say. Okay, imagine if he said that would be a news bomb. That would be making shockwaves for months. But not if it's atheist. You don't say like, oh, they're so unfair to us. This is your problem. You did this. If you're an atheist and like, oh, the world is so unfair to us, that's your fault. I'll give full credit to the Christians, to the Jews, to the Hindus, to the Muslims for standing up for each other, for having each other's backs. I congratulate, like I'm being serious. This is not a satire. This is something that they deserve credit for. Good job, Muslims. Atheists, you screwed up. You don't have each other's backs.
Well, to be fair, when he'd said this, the Secular Coalition of America, which has our country's like most prominent secular organizations, did make a strong statement rebuking this. So they did what they're supposed to do.
I know they did. Okay, but it's so weak in comparison. I mean, FFRF did a good job. Like these other organizations, Secular Coalition for America did a good job. But why is it? But there's not that much of us. You know why? Why? It's because Freedom from Religion Foundation hasn't received your donation. They're not that big. They need your help because Secular Coalition for America doesn't have your support. They are doing what they're supposed to do, but you're not. That's why they can't be as loud, and they don't have the lobbyists. They don't have the lawyers to be able to make a difference. I know they're doing a good job. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you for not standing up for yourself. You have nobody else to blame. You're like, oh, Trump is bad. No, you're bad. You're bad. He would have been terrified. These are politicians. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're taking advantage of your weakness, and you're weak. You are to blame because you are weak. You're not standing up for your own rights. Trump is just taking advantage of your weakness that you are to be blamed for. There's a reason why they're scared of making the same statements about other people. Yeah, anyways.
I'm still stressed out over you saying that sentence.
Guys, I was making a point. I'm obviously against anti-Semitism, okay? I was pointing out how disgusting that statement is and why we don't get the same. To be fair, there's a history with that associated with that, and that's why it's understandable why we feel more disgust with that. Okay. However, we're building up a history with atheism. We have a history with atheism as well. What am I talking about? Atheism is punishable by, like, we have that as well. Ex-Muslims, atheists have in many parts of the world have currently the same experience. Well, up until the hala, not the, anyways, I'm not gonna see. I can't even talk about this. This is how taboo it is. Even though I'm against it, I can't talk about it because YouTube might strike us. Anyways, I have to move on.
Can we move on? I'm.
Yes.
This has turned into a
YouTube
algorithm nightmare.
Momos and hala. I don't even. I sound so ridiculous because the level of again. I can't even explain what I'm trying to say. That's how much our hands are tied. I'm against anti-Semitism. I'm just trying to point the level of disgust that we have for there, and I'm trying to build something similar. I'm not trying to knock one of them down. I'm trying to I'm not trying to remove one taboo. I'm trying to add a taboo. I think it's obvious to people. If anybody thinks I'm saying that I'm not, it's their fault. I'm pretty clear about what I'm saying. We got a super chat, so let's read this so we can move on.
We got a super chat from Oxymoron saying, reminder, your Indian news coverage is heavily biased, cartoonishly demonizing, sometimes utterly fake. I hope you do follow-ups when pointed out to make AR news more responsible. Okay.
Wait, your Indian news coverage are highly biased, cartoonishly demonized. Look at how stupid you are, Oxymoron. We covered something that just happened. It happened. You are highly biased. We cover religiously nonsensical and evil stuff that happens around the world, and you find one event that actually happened in India that we report on biased, even though we're covering multiple countries with multiple religions, nonsensical stuff for multiple religions. That is the very definition of not being biased. The person who's being biased is the person that is sensitive when we pick India. So you're not sensitive when we talk about Pakistan, not about United States, not about Iran. When it gets to India, you get butthurt. That is being highly biased. We're not highly biased. You're the one who's being cartoonishly highly biased. And not only the fake news was not, I know we need to move on. I'm just going. Not only that it's not fake, this is an event that actually happened. So you are lying. Two, I even said I didn't have to say this. I said there are worse countries. When we covered news in India, we said this is happening worse in Pakistan. And you still say we are being highly biased. You're insane. You're a moron. You're not an oxymoron. You're a moron. Okay, we got another super chat. Thank you. Newman.
Newman is just telling Oxymoron to shut up.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. And this is why you come here, okay? People don't support us financially, and we yell at them and call them morons. Anyway, sorry. I know we need to move on. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
Yeah, when is your hard stop?
Oh. I think in half an hour.
Oh my God.
No, maybe 45 minutes if we have to.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, we have only 3 more news left. We can do it in half an hour. We're completely fine.
I don't know if we can.
We can. Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, next news. Silencing atheists. Fort Worth faces lawsuit for rejecting atheist ads. A local atheist organization in Texas, Metroplex Atheists, has taken legal action against the city of Fort Worth, accusing the local government of discrimination after refusing their application to place banners advertising an upcoming event discussing the dangers of Christian nationalism. Metroplex Atheists, a group committed to supporting atheists, freethinkers, and agnostics in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, asserted that the rejection violated their constitutional rights. Umar Khan, the president of Metroplex Atheists, detailed their compliance with city policy, stating, "We did everything to meet the city of Fort Worth's banner policy. We were denied purely on trumped-up claims, nowhere in the policy to disguise their prejudice." The lawsuit is supported by several major organizations, including American Atheists and the American Humanist Association. Metroplex Atheists pointed out the hypocrisy in the city's decision, given its history of approving banner requests from religious organizations such as Kenneth Copeland Ministries and Texas Christian University, as well as a prior request by Metroplex Atheists themselves in 2019.
So see, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is how you try to fight for these rights that a lot of people take for granted. This is how, and again, I don't know if people understand how valuable these fights are. They think it's just about signs. These are about standing up for rights that you don't understand, that is making your lives so much better. Okay, it's not just about a sign. It's not just about an ad. It's not just about a sign. It's fighting against bigotry. It's fighting against prejudice. It's fighting for secularism. It's fighting for free speech. These are the rights and values and freedoms that makes a society prosper. And this is how you fight for it. And if you are an atheist that is not supporting stuff like this, then you are to be you don't get to just complain about like, oh, Trump, oh, conservatives, oh, Republicans. No, oh, you are the problem. These are the stuff that if you are an American atheist and you complain about women's rights being taken away by conservatives or secularism being a threat, and you don't notice where you have to go and support and give your support, then stop. Then you are part of the problem. What are you complaining about? Stop saying like, oh my God, Trump, Republicans. No, you are the problem. Go find this stuff like this. Go. What were the organizations, Susie, that were supporting this legally?
American Atheists, the American Humanist Association.
Yeah. If you're poor, at least go like it, go retweet it, go share the news. If you have some money, go donate to them. I'm sure they accept donations. If you don't have money,
yeah, they do. They're non-profits.
Yeah. Go. If you don't have money, go leave comments under their videos. Go find their channels. Do something. It's not that hard to click on retweet or like a video or tell somebody about it. Like, hey, look, and figure out why this fight is important and explain it to somebody that thinks, oh, these are worthless fights. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking.
Well, if you scroll down in the article, let's actually take a look at what the sign that was rejected looks like. Okay, so here we go. Here's an example. So it says, keep God out with the out underscored of our public schools. And then it announces a seminar that's happening and the date and all this stuff. And so this is what's offensive. This is what they don't want to be seen, is saying, keep God out of our public schools. That's it. That's it.
So they're against their own constitution, basically.
Yeah.
And guys, look, this is their website. Look at that. metroplexatheist.org. So if you want to go find something to support, here it is. But go on.
And it's just supposed to be about like Christian nationalism and its influence in our public school system in America. And basically, I won't get into like all the details, but the reason why they're saying that they're rejecting this sign is because of like, oh, well, there's a policy change. And then they're like, okay, well, what's the policy change? We haven't been able to find this in any public documentation about the requirements of our signage. And they're like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And so what they're doing is they're basically trying to do, what's it called? Like a forced injunction. Because what they're saying is that if we go through the legal process, by the time we go through the legal process, the event that we're trying to promote for will have already passed, which defeats the purpose of the signage, right? And the city is infringing on our rights, but by not letting us do this and not giving any clear qualification about what we are saying that is against their policy. So as such, we want the courts to force the city to put up our signage now before it's too late for our event.
Yeah. I mean, people would really quickly understand why this is a problem if this was like a ad for a Jewish holiday or an Islamic event or something else, right? Or if this was rightfully so, by the way. I'm not saying those or an LGBT event ad or something, right? If this was one of those, people were like, oh yeah, I completely get it why this is wrong. But when it comes to atheism, people are like, yeah, people, including other atheists, don't take it as seriously. By the way, thank you, Susie, for bringing this to our attention.
Well, actually, you're the one that sent this to me. So you brought it to my attention. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the first time. Usually you're the one who brings things to attention.
Not the first time.
Okay, good point. Good job, me. Okay, we should
Good job, me. You're so ridiculous.
What an amazing play by me. Fantastic.
Audience, you're welcome.
I'm so impressive. So impressive.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. We got another super chat from Nina.
Nina gave us €2. Thank you, Nina. Saying, are you watching the Women's World Cup and Morocco?
Oh.
The answer is no. I don't watch any sports at all. So
no, me neither. But
I not care less. To be
honest, I think okay. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not. I'll tell you. Oh
no! Stop it! I already know where this is going.
No, it's not that, guys. It's not that. I was gonna say some people might think it's because of that, but it's not that. I was gonna make it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. All right. What is this, D?
Oh, this is a good comment by D about the poster situation with the atheists, saying we have to fight every little transgression because they add up quickly. Exactly.
Yes.
And that's why the work of organizations like American Atheists, like the American Humanist Association, particularly the Freedom from Religion Foundation, are so important. Because FFRF, like every single thing, like they are on it like this. They're putting out a press release like, oh, at a city council, you said a prayer in public. Here's a letter. Oh, you did this? Here's a legal letter. Oh, you did this? Legal letter. I'm like, oh my God, they're on top of it.
Yeah. Guys, it's because of not fighting for stuff like this is that in one of the most advanced countries in the world, women's rights is now being taken away from them. Their control over their own body is being taken away from them because of not fighting fights like this. But anyway, I think I need to clarify because some people may assume I was going to make a joke in expense of a woman, which I wasn't. Okay. I was going to make the opposite joke. So just in case somebody's going to assume the worst, I just want to clarify that. Okay. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, this next news is super interesting.
Okay. Thank you, Nina. All right. Next news.
Malaysian woman fights against the Islamic conversion of her kids. Lo Sui Huang, a Malaysian Hindu woman of Indian and Chinese descent, is embroiled in a contentious legal battle after her 3 children were forcibly converted to Islam by her ex-husband. The case, unfolding in a nation rife with ethnic and religious divides, has been spotlighted due to its deeply personal yet public implications. Lo, after a long and arduous 3-year search, managed to reunite with her children only to discover their religious conversion. Malaysian law forbids non-Muslims from raising Muslim children, thereby complicating Lo's case. Despite an initial judicial setback, Lo appealed the ruling and her case is currently being held by the Malaysian secular courts. Amid a charged political climate as Malaysia head towards elections, Rosanna Issa, the director of Sisters in Islam, notes, quote, people respond to this issue in a very emotional way because it's not just about the children. What comes into play is about how then Islam must be protected at all costs. What started as a private family dispute has escalated into a high-stakes national issue, leading to Lo and her children being harassed and vilified for their perceived challenge to the Islamic faith. Her struggle illustrates the intertwined complexities of religion and politics in Malaysia, and as Lo's lawyer, Sri Murugan Alagan, puts it, quote, the religious authorities feel that by giving in to Madame Lo, we are sacrificing our might of Islam, end quote. The outcomes of this case, which is expected to conclude by year's end, will set a precedent for Malaysia's approach to religion and personal freedom. So this is really, really important. And I will give more background. So this woman, whose first name is Lo, I don't really know how to pronounce the rest of her name. I apologize. She was married to a man, and they were a Hindu family together, and he was extremely abusive. So she managed to leave her husband. And when she left her husband, what her husband did is he kidnapped her children, took them from her, and then he converted to Islam and then converted the children to Islam. And she didn't see her kids for 3 years. After 3 years, they finally discovered where the children were. But what happened was they went to like the school where the children were and be like, oh yeah, this is your kid, but now he goes by a different name. And it was like Irfan, like it was a very obviously Islamic name. She's like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Like she managed to get her kids back. Then the problem became her husband had converted the children to Islam without her permission. There's nothing in Malaysian law that says that children, because when you convert in Malaysia, this is like an official thing. The government is involved in documenting your conversion. And this is particularly important because in Malaysia, Malay Muslims are explicitly given privileged rights over the ethnically Chinese and Indian people in Malaysia. They're explicitly given privileged rights. They have preferential rights for property, education, payment, etc. So a lot of people convert to Islam in Malaysia so that they can have access to literally preferential rights and privileges in the country. And there is nothing in the law that says that you need the permission of both parents to do this. And this is particularly complicated because, okay, she finally found her kids, but she's still a Hindu. And it is against the law in Malaysia for a non-Muslim to be in charge of raising and the guardianship of Muslim children. Through a legal battle, she was able to get back custody of her kids, even though she's not a Muslim. And she said that since her children have come back into her life and she's been raising them, again, they've stopped doing Islamic things. They do Hindu traditions again, like they used to. Her daughter doesn't wear the headscarf. And in fact, she basically has to live with her children in a secluded life because her neighbors will film her children on the playground showing how their daughter doesn't wear hijab. And look at what she's doing to these Muslim kids. They harass her. She tries to hide the identity of her children so that they don't get harassed for not practicing Islamically, right? And so now this becomes a huge question because she wants to legally contest the conversion of her children. And what makes this historic in Malaysia is that there has been similar cases in the past, but what happened was that woman was like suing her husband personally. But what's happening in this case is that Lo is challenging this standard of law altogether. And so this has become so much more than just this woman and her family. When the people ask, oh, if you're successful, if you win, what do you want? And she's like, I literally just want to be no one again. I literally just want no one to know who I am again. Because if she is successful in challenging this, the Muslim majority is interpreting this as a challenge to the might of Islam altogether, essentially. If she is successful in challenging this, realistically, she actually is challenging the dominance of Islam in Malaysia. If you think about it, it's like it's not entirely like a right-wing narrative, right? It actually would be challenging the dominance of Islam and Sharia law, because Malaysia has a Sharia secular system, quote unquote. It actually would be challenging those standards.
Yeah,
it would be an insane historic precedent in the country. And so people are coming after her hard. And there are political analysts saying that there is not the political will for this right now. That there is no political incentive to actually change these laws, even though they're completely ridiculous and unfair.
Because they're afraid of the Muslim might.
Exactly.
Islamic might.
Exactly. And there would be such a political cost to them. And even there are people that come from a Malay Muslim background that are try to promote more democratic norms and challenge a lot of these things. And they are called traitors. They're called ethnic traitors. So, Adam, you're actually from Malaysia. Can you give us some insight about like what you know about this case and what people are saying from inside the country? Like, I would love your insider perspective, so to speak. But Armin, with all that extra context that I just provided, like, what do you think?
I want just to put it in perspective. This woman, for her children, is going to war with the entirety, with the legal system of a country and the might of Islam for her children. That is pretty badass, I might say.
Seriously.
Yeah. Like just one ordinary average lady against the Islamic community of her country, in her country, and an ancient religion that doesn't kid around when it comes to dominance and staying in power, and the legal system of a modern country. Just one side, one woman against all of that. I mean, if you win, you lose. If you lose, you lose too. Because if you win, then you have. I don't know. I don't think she can. It seems like it's really hard for her to win. But if she wins, then she has to walk around that country with her children, with Muslims knowing that you reduce the dominance of my religion in this country, in this entirety of this country.
You made it easier for other people to rescind upon their conversion, for other children to be deconverted. Because
go ahead. Or just not even this just law specifically. You normalize a reduction in Sharia law's influence within the legal system, which it can open the door to many other ways of challenging the Islamic law within that country. And just a reminder, Malaysia, who some people like Reza Aslan consider a good example of how moderate and modern and advanced a country could be even under Islam, right? Is where I first received my first threats of beheading. Yes. Remember, Malaysia is a country where resulted in atheism being mentioned in the United Nations Security Council, being mentioned for the very first time by the CFA, because Malaysia's government went after Atheist Republic members. You know, the deputy minister announced that they need to hunt down Atheist Republic members within Malaysia because of Atheist Republic's consulate being active there, right? And this was the first time that atheism made it all the way to the United Nations Security Council because of this issue. So we have a history with Malaysia and their fight against specifically Malay people not being Muslim, right? Because they can't see somebody being Malay and not Muslim at the same time. So that's a different thing. But that's the environment that we're talking about. I've never received a threat of being beheading until that happened, and I received it first from Malaysia. I didn't receive my first beheading threat from Pakistan, Iran, or Saudi Arabia. I received it from Malaysia. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think this woman is a complete badass. I don't have insight into how likely her success is based on what I've read. It doesn't seem super likely. But because she was rejected previously and now she's appealing again. I don't know. What I wanted to say is that when I was this was covered in NPR, which is technically like a public radio for the United States, but it's actually like very capital P progressive, like left leaning. And I was my standard for them is so low at this point that I was actually impressed that in their article they explicitly talked about how once you convert, there is no way out of Islam. They talk about that. I'm like, oh wait, you guys are actually being honest about that? Nice. And this also made me think about how it just so many of the stories we covered this week in particular, like this story, the one about women in male guardianship, the honor violence, like it just was reiterating to me over and over again, just the level of domination that is a part of this ideology. And even in a case like this, when a woman had her children taken away from her and a legal process, meaning the conversion, was initiated without her permission while her children were kidnapped by her abusive husband, that is less important than the domination of Islam in this case. Just this week, it was just really, I don't know. What do you think? I just felt like it was just reiterated over and over again.
What was?
I don't just this theme of totalitarian control.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's in the Quran that you're supposed to fight until the entirety of the planet, the world, becomes Islamic. That's specifically mentioned in the Quran.
Yeah.
Anyways, Adam that from Malaysia just mentioned a few comments. I don't know if you wanted to highlight. I starred them for you.
Oh, nice. So he gave some insight into what the rhetoric in Malaysia is. He said they won't risk publicity on this case in case she wins. The Chinese are pretty rich. That might get her some mileage. But from what I've read, she's just like a street vendor. She doesn't sound like she's super wealthy. And nothing about it appears in our media. It's censored, I guess. Interesting.
So see, guys, we cover Malaysian news even Malaysians don't get. We do.
What can you do?
I told you we're going to make it in 30 minutes. Look, 10 minutes each. You didn't believe me.
I did not believe you. But you need a break, though, right?
Yes. It's okay. I'll find a way. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can.
Next news.
I still need to come up with basically, guys, Armin has written more articles, and this one is particularly juicy. It's about lesbians in Islam.
I wrote 2 articles.
I know, but let's only do the lesbian one this week.
Oh, okay. We're going to do the next one? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is this.
Well, technically, guys, it's women loving women, okay? Because bisexual women also love women, okay? Okay, it's not just lesbians.
And also because throughout Islamic history, lesbianism was not an identity that you could refer to. Like the concept of lesbian and bisexual are modern identities. At that time, it was just like women loving women. Or
true.
Sex with.
So, guys, Armin recently wrote an article for this publication called Queer Majority, and it's about the hidden history of lesbians in Islam, and it's really good. So I want people to go read it, so I'm not going to tell them about this article itself. Just go Google queer majority Armin Navabi. You should find it. Okay. And I put a link in the live chat.
Yes.
But Armin, I want to talk about something that isn't, thoroughly covered in the article. And we can give people a teaser to go read the rest of the article themselves. Right?
Mm.
But my question is, in this article, you talk about, a lot of the harems that would happen for different kings and sultans, etc., and the activities that would happen among women in these harems. And you mention something about a cucumber. Okay.
Oh.
In this article, and but but in the article, you don't go into. You didn't explain. So can you give us tell us more about this cucumber thing? Because I was reading it. I was reading the article, and then I read that line, and I was like, "What? Tell me more."
But there's not that much more detail to it because somebody else reported on it. So if you want more detail, that's all the detail that we have.
Well, tell people what it was.
So during the Abbasid dynasty, like in the harem of the caliphate, right? So it was reported that women when they asked for cucumbers in the harem, they made sure that they brought it to them sliced. so that's it, basically.
Why would they do that?
Because they want to make sure that they are getting the cucumbers are being requested for eating purposes only. so there were reports.
This is so funny, Lucifer Crest. Thanks, Armin, for promoting the lesbianism cucumber agenda.
Hey. Well, everything here, by the way, is sourced, so you can see, like, if there's a claim that is made, you can see this. Click on it, and go review the sources. Hyperlinked with the source, so fully backed up. Yes, exactly. Cucumber. Certain activities where cucumbers are haram. True.
Yes.
No, they are halal if you eat them. There are other things you could do with cucumbers that is haram. That's true. That would be haram.
Yeah. But everyone, guys, go click on the link in the live chat. Go check out Armin's article. I actually learned a lot reading about this. I didn't realize how much history there actually was. So make sure to go check it out. And then next week, we will talk about this other article that you wrote that was very, very good and juicy. Not cucumber juicy, but...
cucumber juicy. Hey, I mean, why not? You juice it. I heard it gets salty, so two birds with one stone. You're like, would you like seasoning with your cucumber? Like, nope, we have that covered up. We have that covered up. Comes with salt.
Oh my god.
So no, but guys, this is not just about women loving women. This is also a good way to see how the difference between Islamic teachings and politics and practice and the challenges that dance between all of that. Because a lot of people this is using an interesting topic, something that people find interesting, as a way to see the nuance and the dance and and how what you read in Islamic scripture, what that translates to in daily average people's lives, and the politics of it is not, the correlation is not 1-to-1, right? So because I see a lot of people, commentators, like in the comments in the chat, they see something in the Quran or something in the Hadith, and they think that, well, that's exactly how you're going to see it in the Islamic world. And if you look at the history of what the Hadith and scripture, because we do mention Islamic, the Quranic verses and Islamic Hadith as well. So you see that in theory, what it's supposed to be like, and then what the effects of that in society. This is a good way for people to see how complex the relationships between scripture and practice are. It's not,
Yeah.
and some people try to make it seem like it's completely disconnected, and what people experience and what scripture is completely disconnected, and people just do what they do and the scripture comes after. So that's an extreme that is not true. And some people think like it's completely the same. Like if the hadith says this and the Quran says this, that is exactly what will happen in the Islamic world. It's neither of that. And it's more complicated than that. And this is a good way to see that.
Yeah. So guys, make sure to check out on Queer Majority Armin's article on women loving women in Islam, and learn about the cucumber juicy details.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask you a question, but I think that I shouldn't live on that. Well, no, I shouldn't. I want to really ask this question. God damn it, I shouldn't ask this question.
Okay, I'm gonna trust your instinct.
Okay. God damn it, I really want to ask. I want to ask a live chat that question to see if the answer would be yes or no. I think you know what I'm gonna ask, but no.
I don't know. I'm scared.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna tell you off air. All right, guys, make sure that you do not leave this show without liking. It's haram for, you know what's haram? Watching this show for 3 hours or whatever and not liking it. We spent 3 hours for you. You could spend 1 second for us. 1 second for us liking the video. Why wouldn't you? Or dislike or whatever. And if you want to support us even more, you can leave a comment. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it boosts the channel. So please go ahead, like, and then once the show is over, leave a comment. We need your comments and likes. Okay? We wouldn't be asking you that if it wouldn't make a difference. The algorithm, the only gods we worship here on Atheist Republic is the YouTube algorithm. So make the sacrifice. Make the prayer. The like button is the prayer, and the comments is your sacrifice. Okay? Thank you. All right. Bye. See you next week. Juicy cucumbers be upon you. Bye.